Let's go, send all of your friends to the restroom and let's go. Hey, nah, don't touch on my bottles if you ain't coming home. I seen you put the lipstick in the Prada, you moving on the floor. Nice, young, and the vibe is electric, the bankroll at my door. I feel my senses overload, wildin' cause I broke the mold. Really in this business of investing, but I win the most. Cruising when it's 2 a.m., bodies hanging at the bands. Drive me to the nearest liquor store to celebrate again. Oh, it's all mine, mine, in good time. It's all mine, mine, yeah, good time.
Hold up, wait a minute, stop. I don't even need you anymore, I'm on the top. I've been on a roll, you've been on a drop. I can't give you lessons and this shit is high rock. This ain't new to me, she just sent 140 notes to me. Dripping YSL, these bitches using me. I can't give a damn cause I've been through the rain.
I seen you put the lipstick in the Prada, you moving on the floor. Nice, young, and the vibe is electric, the bankroll at my door. I feel my senses overload, wildin' cause I broke the mold. Really in this business of investing, but I win the most. Cruising when it's 2 a.m., bodies hanging at the bands. Drive me to the nearest liquor store to celebrate again. Oh, it's so mine, good time. It's so mine, good time. Mine, in good time. It's so mine, yeah, good time.
No more talking about it. The way it is, the way it is. It's no mystery. There's no getting around it. When you're here, we got chemistry. We light up when we ignite. We are stars in a darkened sky. When you leave, don't forget to remember. Don't forget to remember me. When you leave, don't forget.
And now the shots are through the wall, not quite hitting, and there's the kill. Cruz falls to chew.
Ned puts his face in a giant hole to throw a smoke canister. Not how you do that. Every player on the side.
Play it down. He's not going to be able to. It's the frack. Down to the final win.
Some of those operators who can really give you trouble.
Just right to the side of Project Bandits. They're now starting to retake all the way up through the mirror window, but there's one on highway. He gets called out.
Mr. Alexander leaves me without words because he's killing people left and right.
Rowdy, and now Chew finds himself left alone, brings it to the 1v1, shuts down that way as well.
Flame Bolt moves forward and it launches the bandit into clear and plain sight line of the Lion. That doesn't matter at all.
Very bad. He finds two. Can he kill both? He can. Butcher's just better. He is activated on the think of gameplay right now. This is why everyone loves Minka. Oh, nice shot from Butcher. He's going crazy in a squad.
Coming through, they didn't actually drone all the way up through and understand what the setup looks like. The library walk-ups are able to do things like just fall through the site here, and especially with that sense wall coming out, really stop them.
It could be anywhere you can find the first one on the yarn. For 5 seconds.
Hey guys, we're back, Xenon Gaming Series, and we're here today, me and Wilco, coming in for the lower bracket first round. This game is going to be between Zero Risk and Fraud Watch, and we saw Fraud Watch just a week ago. Nix and I casted them, and nearly getting that game. Went all the way to infinite overtime on the last map, just couldn't quite close it out, and so they ended up losing. Other than that, Wilco, are you ready for this game?
I am, yeah. We've seen some upper bracket fights going on, obviously to lead down to this lower bracket. So I just want to recap a little bit of what we have seen the score lines up to this point. So upper bracket, if you go to the website as well, opleague.pro, you can find this as well. But Valence beat Fraud Watch, one of the teams today, Fraud Watch, 2-1. So it's a close matchup. They did lose in an overtime on one of the maps, which was Chalet, something to highlight. It's 8-6 loss. Outlast beat Zero Risk 2-0, so they didn't get a win of a map, unfortunately. So that's the two, though, Zero Risk and Fraud Watch today. And what's really interesting about that matchup, though, is they also lost 8-6 on Chalet. So both teams losing the same score line overtime on Chalet. So I'm curious to see if one of them is going to risk gambling on it again, because it's close.
Yeah, Chalet probably a favorite map for both the teams. And as we get talking about the maps, here we're gonna see the map bands start to pop up here, hopefully in just a second. So we're waiting for production to realize, wake up, press your buttons, guys. Theme park off the map first, bank off as well, and Chalet right there, just as you were talking about, Wes, pops up right there first.
Yeah. So Cafe, interesting choice. Now that was one of the maps that Fraud Watch had lost 7-2, and it was chosen by Zero Risk, which makes sense, right? You saw your opponents were really weak on that map last time they just faced. Might as well try and capitalize on that weakness, especially because they won one of their maps you didn't. So you're kind of looking like maybe a little bit of a disadvantage, at least momentum coming in. It was a lot closer for them than it was for you, to be frank about it. Of course, ending off on Oregon, if we get there, which, I call it Boregon because it's just such a basic map, but it is, really easy for teams to play on because it's so understood in the meta right now.
Yeah, definitely very basic. I mean, Fraud Watch, just kind of more of a pug sec team. I mean, they weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs, actually. They actually made their spot because the team had forfeited their position in the playoffs, which allowed Fraud Watch to move into the playoff position, nearly upsetting Valence last week, but not able to do that just quite yet. Hopefully, able to get another shot back at them, maybe in the lower bracket or back in the grand finals, hopefully for them. Zero Risk, on the other hand, making their way. I haven't seen them play yet this season, but definitely more of a structured team from what I know. So definitely not a surprise of them to pick Cafe here. And other than that, definitely I think that they took some VOD review and looked at last week what Fraud Watch struggled on. And if we see that going on, Zero Risk is probably going to prevail at least on that second map.
It really is quite interesting, though, to see Chalet chosen because both of them did go 8-6. So it's like, who can capitalize on what they saw from the other person's VOD, the other team's VOD? Because that's really narrow for both teams. It's just, it's if it goes to overtime, that kind of means that they know what they're doing for sure. And it was just a 50-50 chance almost at a certain point in time. Obviously, that also kind of shows a clutch factor that the other teams were able to come through and they weren't. So they're missing that factor. Now, which of them are going to get that redemption and which of them is going to show, hey, maybe we should just stop going to this map if we can't carry it home?
Yeah, last week we saw Fraud Watch, at least when Nix and I were casting, we saw Bino actually sub in on the last map and nearly hard carried Fraud Watch to a victory, but just not quite enough. And we were hoping that, he was going to be able to maybe bring Fraud Watch out of fruition there, but they just struggled a lot on that last map. So if they do have that substitute player in today, it would definitely help aid them in winning their maps, probably on Chalet, maybe even help out on Cafe, some leadership and some IGLing potentially out of Bino, who is playing a lot of Yana and a lot of fragging operators. But on the other side of things, Zero Risk, Mr. Alex player is definitely one player to highlight in the main season, having a 1.2 player rating, a KD of, what is it?
Plus
Let's see.
13.
Looking
Yeah.
over here. Plus 13 on the KD. So, I mean, pretty damn good from them. And if some of the other players on that roster could step up, Monster, Alzomo, maybe if they're in today, hopefully they could step it up a little bit. Maybe not so great in the regular season, but playoffs are where it matters most. So who cares what you did in the regular season? It's win or go home because we are in the losers bracket. And hopefully we're going to get ourselves sent on to Chalet here in just a moment.
Yeah, and as we're about to enter into that map, one last thing for me to highlight. I was looking through these stats, like you said, the regular season stats, so these don't include the last matchups that they just had. But you mentioned Mr. Alex Player, but another thing to highlight, he had a +3 on entry. Bubs had a +11 on entry. Those are two stats that are actually better than any of the entries on the other side of Fraud Watch. They had +2 at best on 2 different plays. Everyone else was negative. So that entry games could be really important, something that Zero Risk should be able to capitalize on, considering at least the stats that we have in front of us.
Yeah,
We're
and
subbing a player. Nice.
as we're subbing a player and just making sure that their rosters are all set up, and when as we're kind of rambling on a little bit here, let's talk about what we might see map one here. Some of the bans, maybe some of the ways that some of the attacks might get played out. Looking at Zero Risk, they only had 2 plants during the regular season that are recorded, and so looking at a roster that might just be going for frag heavy plays, Fraud Watch might be able to take on top of this because they are a frag based team. They're a team that likes to take those gunfights. They're not as structured and coordinated as you might expect. And so that might actually be a detriment to Zero Risk if their strategy is run and gun.
And it's interesting because you say they're a frag heavy team. They have that entry stat +11 on one of the players. Clearly, they're really good at getting those opening duels, but are they able to clutch, right? And they're facing an opponent that has shown at least statistically better chances. They have 5 1vx's compared to on the other side, Zero Risk only has 2. So even if they get those opening kills, Fraud Watch shows that they have that potential to clutch out with the 1vx's. So something to watch out for as well. But we should be able to jump right into Chalet here in just a moment. Any last thoughts before we enter this map?
Other than Zero Risk potentially having some issues when it comes to, yes, the entry, great, good for them for having such a high entry percentage, but is it their executes that are a problem? Because if their executes in their late round is a big struggle, they are really going to struggle here, especially on a map like Chalet, where those late round executes are huge because you do have to clear out the map and you are forced to kind of go with that 20-second base meta unless you're able to get a quick rush plant or maybe able to just really, really alleviate that defender pressure very quickly. So at least we don't know what Zero Risk might be looking for this game. Their game plan and their strategy could change entirely, but if it's based off of that, it might just be their detriment, and Fraud Watch might advance themselves another round. Zero Risk taking off Flores on the board. Not a big shocker. That helps you really defend that top blue hallway, especially with those deployable shields, and clear out a lot of util on the map.
And so many different places to put those shields. You could put it in piano as well. We see it in the mezzanine area, and even on the first floor in bomb sites. You'll see it just placed all around. So to get rid of that Flores, of course, just helping that utility game. Thatcher, not a surprise. He's the mainstay, until they get those impact EMPs in the game. I'm expecting him to be banned for quite some time. Now on the
Yeah.
defensive side, a lot of flexibility here.
Yeah, definitely. One thing noting that the attacker bans at least is there's no Zero ban. Zero is an operator with those Argus cameras that the flank watch can be really established very well. And talking about cameras being banned off the board, Valkyrie goes off. Not a shocker, so much intel. And as I'm saying about Zero, I mean, there's so many nooks and crannies that you can tuck those Argus cameras for really great flank watch potential. And if that operator is played, it is going to be extremely difficult for both of these sides to find those late round flanks that just might break the attack. Mute coming off the board, kind of a shocker. Maybe not so much with that Flores ban, but definitely an interesting one to say on Chalet at the least.
Well, here we go. The first bomb site is usually their upstairs or basement, and it looks like they're choosing basement, which is interesting because I do think, technically speaking, upstairs is a better site. I think statistically it is, but it might, be what they're confident in. They maybe even want to start on a site that isn't as strong. That's a strat that a lot of teams do implement just to start off the game to try and catch them off guard. Maybe even though there's attacker repicks, it doesn't work as well as it used to back in the old days. But we'll see what they're able to do here.
Yeah, definitely a map that all 4 bomb sites can be played on. I mean, really, it's just all down to preference. What do you have practiced the most? And we'll probably see all 4 today. I mean, this map is a map that, yeah, you're going to see all of those bomb sites. It just depends on, some teams don't like that master bomb site because there's nowhere to go after defending it. You have to hold it with your life, and if you lose it, that means you're losing the round, and so it makes it really difficult. That's why a lot of teams would like to go for maybe a dining defense. And seeing this basement defense, we're probably going to see that extension in the dining, where we start to see a couple of lines of sight be opened up in that dining wall. Alex player up top looking to possibly make some angles with the Kiba knives of Azami, a new operator in comp for this season, and really an impactful one that's just made so much impact on the competitive scene already.
A large extension so far. We'll see how many retreat back to site, but so far they're sitting on cams and lurking around. We see Alex is out in kitchen. Alzama, who's in sight, is even on the stairs. Just shows how aggressive they want to be in this extension. Contest every point of entry, buy as much time. That is kind of how Chalet needs to be played a lot of the time, though, because if you give up too much ground early, they can get the vertical pressure, they can get all of the walls opened up and have plenty of time then, and then all the angles are not in your favor. So you kind of do have to have a little bit of aggression. I'm just wondering if this is a little too much aggression, but as you see Sturdy trying to push in here, could engage with Monster right off the bat, but Monster's at least playing a little bit patiently, not overly aggressing on that doorway, but the push up from Sturdy catches the flank. Monster does find Isobulin, so at least that's a refrag, evening things back up.
Good refrags from the teams. You see this Thorn still being really aggressive here. Monster wants to hold on to this position, but is going to think better of it. Starts to back up back to their deployable shield of safety. Still, a Finka hanging out on the main breach, and Monster able to actually take down the Luck with their gadget. The Thorn Pine Cone coming in huge there. Definitely something that if you hide it real well, you're going to get that frag, and that's exactly what happened. Is the Thermite actually falls, and my assumption is that that was in the elbow area over by the wine cellar wall, and that Thermite going down means that that wall will not be open.
Missed opportunity on the nade there from Bino, I believe, and now they're just droning, trying to find out the location of some of these players. They are in a 3v4. The defenders have the advantaged man count, and of course, only a minute remaining, so they can buy a little bit more time here. It's going to be even harder for Fraudwatch to get anything done. So you see them maneuvering around. They're now relocating Sturdy, heading over towards blue, but they're not actually pushing down. They're maybe trying to hunt out Mr. Alex player here, as they are the one up above and lurking. Down onto Bino, and a kill though from Monster. He has that triple kill on the rounds. Completely heavy hitting for his team. Mr. Alex, though, is hidden away here. Sturdy doesn't know his position. Josoa, well, he's going to get the kill on Alzamo, so these two players are going to stack up, but still a 2v3, only 30 seconds remain.
Yeah, and a great job. And Mr. Alex player hasn't been read out by this attack. And if he's able to time this out perfectly, they might just be able to flip this run on his head. Bub's able to take down Jose, and that leaves Surrey down in a 1v3. 20 seconds remain, and Alex here on the swing tags Surrey up just to one shot, and with the re-swing able to finish it out. Zero risk, take the first round.
Yeah, we're talking about entry, but there it was hard to give anyone credit for an entry. It can give a technicality there, but it's an instant trade. So each team having that fragging potential right off the bat, not leaving any disadvantage for themselves. And it goes to show that even without an entry necessarily favoring them throughout a round, Zero Risk still coming in clutch here, winning downstairs for their first defense. Now we'll see where they go. And it's actually going to be bar gaming. They're not going upstairs.
Yeah, really big for Zero Risk to open up the first round with that basement hold. That Thermite going down, not able to open that wine cellar elbow wall is really, really detrimental. That boiler wall is so strong. It just forces the defenders out of that pillar position. It's another angle that just starts to compress that defense further and further into that basement bomb site. But without that being open due to the Thorn gadget actually knocking out the Thermite, that was pretty much what I think flipped around on its head, let alone that. But Alex player's extended roam on the upstairs being misread and just not enough droning and information by the attack of Fraudwatch. And that really, really poisoned their time. And slowly it trickled all the way down to where it became a factor that ended up biting them in the end, with Alex working their way back up top. But up here on bar, we're seeing a very big, heavy emphasis on library, as well as a small emphasis on the kitchen side. Bubs over here making some nice shotgun angles and opening up the hatch as a possible way to get out.
It's going on a very long extension over into the dining area. It's going to be interesting to see what can they do here? What damage can they do? But the main thing for roamers, again, the main game is to deny information, shoot some drones, and then get back. Don't die early, and that's going to be really important. They're doing a really just standard defense here. They have the double shield, of course, and then they have the Wamai Jaeger. And then on top of it, the Izami, who's a new addition to the lineups, of course, with the pro play, competitive play. And they allow you a lot of flexibility. Those Kiba barricades, you can just throw them up wherever you need them, block off some different angles. It allows you to hold upstairs a lot longer.
Yeah, definitely. And Sturdy here looking to get an angle onto the Izami themselves. If Alex is not careful, they are in a pretty tricky position here and might actually have to fall out of this spot early. That Kiba barrier on that case window is not covering just enough. And ISO is actually in the bomb site. A huge entry pick from them on the Nook, completely not spotted by Camps. Trying to win out their duel with Alzoma, but Alzoma is going to take out ISO. Not enough from the Nook to get those frags. Nurox with 2 kills here on the library, looking for a third. Downs Jose. Monster of the cleanup on there, and all is left down to Sturdy, who's outside on the case window, just drops off the balcony, looking to find something to make it work. There's a minute and a half left, a lot of time in the 150 bullet LMG, but there's only one player, and he's got four attack or defenders to fight here. Able to find one on the Bubs, but will they be able to clean up the rest? As long as the defenders are very patient, which a near swing is able to catch out. The Zofia is not able to do so. The entire defense has vacated the bomb site, knowing they have the diffuser outside on the balcony, and Sturdy not able to find what angle they're being shot from. Cut down by the Jaeger, and another great defense by Zero Risk.
Really good job. And a lot of it came down to buying those times, but also just getting those frags. And it was so early on the engagements and did not go Fraud Watch's way whatsoever. They're having a really hard time consistently getting those frags to give themselves advantages to try and get an execute. That's typically the game on Chalet. You try and find some odd angles, take out some of the defenders who might be in a tricky position. You cut off the retreat back to site so you can isolate roamers really easily on this map. Thing like that. They're just not able to do any of that, though. So no advantage being gained. It's costing them the rounds. And another thing that might be too early to say, and this is kind of mean, I'll be honest, but maybe we need a Maxley counter, because that's 2 times now that the Zofia has been left alive. And you want to wonder, like, why are they the last one alive?
Yeah, definitely. Sophia should not be the last person alive. I mean, one of your main entry players, you get your primary entry, most likely going to be Beto. ISO there on the solo entry, more of like a flex type play there. And Sturdy on the Zofia, now actually looking to swap over Ash. Back to Zofia, just teasing us a little bit. But we really want to see Sturdy work with ISO here and try to, or Bino even, and just try to play those refrags or be the primary entry here. We need to see a lot more teamwork coming from Fraud Watch. And right now, Zero Riz has just been playing together really well. Monster winning out some really crucial gunfights that last round. And that's kind of what turned the round on its head after that Nook play nearly completely broke apart the defense. Zero Risk with a great response on that, and that is what ended up projecting them to win that round there.
To be fair, I didn't see too much of the play. We're watching one perspective for a bit there, so it was hard to see what had happened with utility. I didn't see them use all their utility on attack, I swear. They had a lot in their pockets. There's shields, plenty of them up still. Kiba barricades are still up. Catching the man through the trophy area is Sturdy. So it does get that opening kill. We were criticizing him earlier. There it is. That's what you needed. Now your team has a little bit of an advantage. You've cleared out an angle. You know that the roamer is no longer be in that exact position, unlikely at the very least. And now you can start to drone, get some work in, get some map control. You have the man advantage. You've done a lot of damage to Monster too, so something else to keep in mind. Could be an easy kill to follow up and then give yourself a massive man advantage.
Yeah, what appears to be some very unnecessarily aggressive play by the side of Zero Risk, and Alex trying to find the sledge does so, but at what cost? You've already lost 2 of your teammates who've been cut down on these holds, and ISO now has taken top floor control. If the Alibi is not ready for this, which she's not, Bubs cut down by ISO. Great entry by ISO to get into the top floor there and knock down some of those defenders. Alzoma now forced to get aggressive, but not able to do so. Sturdy still hanging out on the windows, able to find another frag here, and it's all down to Alex, who's left in a 1v4. That script has been flipped. Can Alex flip it as well onto the attackers? No, ISO with the swing of the pre-fire of the LMG with the intel is able to cut down Alex, and that is the end of that round. First round for Fraud Watch on the board.
Well, LMGs go burr. That's the prime example right there. I got 2 kills from Zofia, 2 kills from Finka, each with an LMG in hand. So it's hard to fight back against. And no, when Alzamo pushed up SMG-11, it's not a fair fight for one with that gun in hand. But also, keep in mind some little things that you don't always pay attention to, and this is for anyone watching who maybe even in your ranked game you have to consider this. There's a slight decline in the hill. So Zofia is a little lower than they were expecting. You see the crosshairs were not properly placed when they're peeking that Zofia, and then they just get blasted for it. So there's small things like that that you have to account for, and maybe even experience comes into play, you know, knowing that that's the case. There, it seemed like they're a little underwear, get caught with their pants down, and an easy round from Fraud Watch after just sitting outside, baiting some kills, and it worked out for them.
Yeah, I mean, a great job by Fraud Watch. Sturdy there, getting 2 big kills just on cutoffs or fighting angles that force players to get aggressive, and it's a great job by them to net 2 kills there, 2 huge kills. I'd say Jose even on the pressure from the big window allowed ISO to even get a frag there as well, possibly 2, and a great job by them to finally net their first round here. Is now Zero Risk able to go back to their basement bomb site, what they had lined up before. They can do this again. A good defense will net them a 3rd round, and that might be what they need here. If they can get just a couple more on Chalet, they'd look real good, propelling themselves into the attacker half.
Monster gonna get out of garage, which is good. That's a dangerous spot. It's really easy to get cut off, but there it is. They get downed. So that's exactly what the concern was. You're in a very dangerous position with a lot of cutoffs, and then they cut you off, and you're dead. Sturdy, opening kill again, and where does it come from? Catching someone in a bad position. 2 times in a row now that Fraud Watch is able to capitalize. But being pushed in so far, there are definitely roamers here, and they seem to be aware of it. Push coming through from Mr. Alex, and another player next to them. Couldn't quite catch who that was, but they're aware that they are playing down here on West Main Stairs. They could catch them unawares if they time this properly.
Yeah, they have the long wall open, and Sturdy now looking to get, again, another frag onto Bubs now. Really aggressive play for the Wamai, and that allows for the entry to actually happen to the bomb site. 2 players are upstairs right now. Nerox trying to find some of these angles from above, but I'm not sure it's going to be good enough. Alex, though, does have the hatch control, which might actually punish this attack if they try to walk in through the wall. Instead, they'll think better of it and back out. Instead, ISO actually willing to challenge that fight. Luck now inside, trying to get this plant down. Sturdy, great crosses from the defense, or attack, rather, and it's all left down now. Zoma able to find 2, but immediately refragged and traded out by ISO. A great attack for Fraud Watch, and they're able to net their 2nd round just off of some poor misplay and poor positioning by the side of Zero Risk.
Really, yeah, that's what it is. Poor positioning a lot of the times, and then you see the walls open up, and you see a player pushing up to the breach. What was that about? That was odd. And then Smoke, your primary denial, is not even near the entry points. Not even on that site. He's on the other site, toward main stairs. It's just they're getting caught lacking here, and it's going to cost them 2 rounds. Now it's all even. They had momentum. It's completely gone now. Fraud Watch on the up and up, and this is an attacker-sided map, so we can at least give them credit for that. But, you know, it's still something that they could have capitalized better had they just played it a little bit more disciplined.
Well, Fraud Watch getting 2 rounds there, and Zero Risk looking to take a timeout, talk about what is going wrong. And I'll tell you what's going wrong right now. It's that positioning, just like you highlighted earlier, Wes. I mean, we just see them running around just kind of like uncaged animals right now, and clearly that's not working. It's starting to just really impact them. The opening picks on the side of Sturdy has been huge opening picks that just have completely slowed down Zero Risk in their aggression. The first 2 rounds were great, but now Fraud Watch getting the opening pick twice in a row by Sturdy. It's really helping them start to find their way into the building, find themselves as a team. The aggression as well. Bubs taking that really aggressive swing on the alibi onto the breach there also did not help their team in that late round when they needed the most.
We're going to try the same bomb site twice, and I've casted a lot of people, Klimpse, so I have to hear your opinion. How do you feel about this?
How do I feel about the same site twice? Well, you know, I think that the first round was really good. I think they just need to adapt to not doing the same thing over and over again. It seems like that's kind of what Zero Risk is falling habit into. There would be a team that would be really easy to VOD review because they're playing it the exact same way. Monster, you saw that really aggressive play towards Big Garage, falling back to site, immediately was cut down the last time they were here because, hey, guess what? It was what punished Fraud Watch so badly the first time around that, yeah, they're going to start watching out for that now. And if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result, That's called insanity. And unfortunately, Monster was not able to get a better result out of there. Instead, was shut down and completely ended up just kind of costing the round. I want to say that losing Monster there was a big impact. That Thorn SMG is so powerful and so strong, as well as Monster, just a good player with a good position. But ISO able to take down Neurox really early. Great intel by them. They saw the vertical long angle played through 2 whole floors and still able to get that kill on a Neurox. Just shut down. Zero Risk already losing a player once again early on in the round. This time ISO with that opening pick, and Alex now follows to ISO. 2 for ISO so far just to start off the round here, and it's already put Fraud Watch on the front leg.
Trying to make up for past mistakes by being aggressive, and they're just getting shut down for it. This is again where your roamers are going for kills instead of trying to do their job of buying time and backing away. And now ISO finding a second one now on to Monster, leaves it all up to Bub and Alzomo, and they are not in good positions. Blue getting pushed up, ISO finding the quad. He's going to go for the ace. They might try and give it to him. One of the teammates are going to help him out here, but no, Sturdy is going to collect one for themselves. Got to add to those stats, you know, and that's going to put them ahead now for the first time in this matchup.
Well, Sturdy doesn't let go of that LMG, but ISO with 4 huge kills that round. I mean, honestly, Zero Risk just keeps peeking ISO, and clearly it's not the answer. I mean, Zero Risk just making so many mistakes that I feel like a team in the playoffs should not be making. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. Thorn, we've seen you playing that door 2-3 times now, right? Guess what? Fraud Watch is going to learn. They're going to figure that out. It's not gonna happen. So don't do it. Change up what you're doing. Don't rinse and repeat. You gotta change up. You gotta be fluid. You gotta be fluid, and you gotta be trying to do something different. Make something happen that's gonna make Fraud Watch change their mind of what they want to do. Take out that player on the main breach that's cutting off your rotations. Bino hasn't found any frags so far, but has been that finca that's been established just to cut off some of the rotations, which has really pinned down Zero Risk and forced maybe that Smoke to go for that main flank or that west main flank, and just different players are having being forced to do different things right now, and it's not comfortable for them. Fraud Watch looked very comfortable after 2 bad first rounds. Zero Risk haven't found any more.
Yeah, this reminds me of fighting, maybe even a bit in the matchup, you know, maybe UFC or something like that, where you can be really strong, right? You can be really powerful and catch your opponent off guard in the beginning, right? You get some good hits in, and they're caught unguarded, we'll say. Well, if you're not flexible, though, if you don't adapt, right, you can't change it up, and they're going to start reading into that play, just like you said. And if you're not flexible, then when you get forced into someone else's game, right, if they start pushing and pulling you in certain ways, you're going to become brittle, right? You're going to break, and that kind of seems to be what's happening with Zero Risk. They've become brittle. They've had some strong moments, but as soon as they start needing that flexibility, it's not there, and they're breaking. And now they have one more round here to at least even it up before they go on to the attack. And that would be pretty good still. I'd still say a 3-3 split on defense is not bad, but a 4-2, it's not what you'd like. After losing this map last time 8-6, you might just have to keep that result if you can't adapt.
Well, especially after having two rounds on the first leg, to lose 4 rounds straight and then go into that side swap, definitely going to be tough, especially if you want to try to get a real good aggressive attack here. Because we start to see an aggressive attack on the library side, but Nerox able to take down ISO, who's been a huge star player the last couple of rounds here. Shut down, nearly acing last round, but not able to find even a frag this round. And that might be what Zero Risk needs. That entry frag, that opening pick might be big enough as Nerox nearly getting tagged in the rear, trying to still find this last player on the library window, but shut down by luck. A great refrag by them, and that's going to help this attack start to push into the library.
It's unnecessary to peek that there too. I mean, I understand why you're getting pinched and pulled in different ways, but could add some teammates support you a little bit before as well if you're going to go for that peek. Just double peek the same player, or just try and bait someone else so that the teammate can catch them. Like here on the window, Bubs could have maybe caught someone had he been baiting that player instead, but now it's going to be Jose going to get a kill on Monster. Luck going to find Mr. Alex, so things are falling apart now. It's going to be reverse swept against them, and now a push up from Bubs is trying to save the day, but they're still in a 2v3, and LMGs go burr, except for that's going to be Sturdy getting that kill, and now Alzamo again alone in a 1vx situation. We've seen it, hasn't been able to do much because of the positioning, and look here, caught in mud is not a great position yet again on the side of Zero Risk, and we're going to see what they can do here.
Yeah, trying to fight out Sturdy, but just shut down. Alzomo loses that round, and unfortunately that just came down to misplay on that top floor hole. No help from the Alibi, not able to alleviate that pressure from the case window, which that Wamai was fighting, stuck between a rock and a hard place. May have been able to get out through jumping over the mezzanine balcony and trying to just run away from their problem, stay alive, keep your extra bodies up. Instead, elected to take that gunfight and was punished for it, and that ended up punishing Zero Risk another round, 4 rounds straight for Fraud Watch. Great job for them, and Zero Risk, who have already taken their tactical pause just after losing 2 rounds, has now lost 2 more and does not have that same luxury.
Rough. You know, it's rough to lose 4 in a row, but let alone after having a good start, because now your confidence that was once high is beaten down. And you're reminded again of why it is necessary to be adaptable. But one thing I'm going to be critical of Zero Risk in general, and this is going to be important on attack, is their team play just hasn't been there. There hasn't been very many refrags. It doesn't seem like they're coming to each other to say, hey, you know, I'm going to peek this, or I'm going to go for this. Can you work with me? Can you move with me? There's been very little coordination. And that you can sometimes get away with solo plays on defense, especially with defense, but on attack, that usually doesn't happen. Maybe with an LMG, you see a hero play from time to time, but overall, you're going to have to work together. You're going to need the drone work, you know, you're going to need that information, because the defenders get to sit back and play their game. So they're going to need to work on working with each other better.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about some of the utility placement here. That ADS that's right in front of the piano window, sir, that can just get shot. If you just go onto the balcony of piano, I mean, you can see it right from that window there. It just seems like some poor util placement, at least in my eyes. If Zero Risk is able to read that out, that at least alleviates some of the ADS pressure and some of that util clear and burn. And that might be able to net them a free kill if they're able to read that out properly. They do spot out that ADS, but ISO able to get a frag on a monster. That's the opening pick for them on their defensive side now, and ISO still just on a tear from the Yana to the Frost, going huge, getting another frag, and that's a minute down already. And finally, Zero is trying to find their way into top mezzanine, but I've already lost one of their main breach players as well, like that Buck, who is able to make some of that vertical play and hopefully clear out that wall.
Let's say the vertical play. This is a kitchen defense. This isn't even upstairs, so they need that vertical play for later in the round once they get control upstairs. If they get control upstairs, which is taking quite a bit of time. They don't really have any control except for this one side of the map, and Beano going to shut down Bub. So even further, they're losing more bodies, losing more control, and half the round has elapsed. Nade's coming out, but it's not going to find anything. At least going to find a kill onto Luck. That's Mr. Alex player, but he gets immediately refragged by Sturdy, and is going to all be up to Nurox and Alzamo, and we've seen them in this situation before. They've struggled a little bit, but now the sides have switched. Better guns in hand. Nurox getting a double there onto Sturdy and Beano. That's going to shut down some of those top fraggers, but there's still ISO on the defensive side. He's already got the opening kill in this round, and it's going to look to do more damage.
Seems like top floor control has actually been established now. The Yana with the double kill, huge kills by Nurox. It would have just find out those last 2 players winning both 1v1s that they were given. No double pick on the side of Fraud Watch, which actually ended up punishing them. That allows for Fraud Watch, or Zero Risk rather, to start opening up this wall. And Fraud Watch here with the gas grenades and good denial could slow down this plant attempt and possibly even shut it out as we start to see a retake effort from the Frost, who gets back upstairs. This means that the attack is going to have to force their way deep. If Frost, ISO, has not spotted out any drones up there, it may alert to the attack that he's up there, but instead, no, ISO able to find Alzoma the Thermite, who tried to run in and go for a plant. Jose with the 1.5, the long angle on the FMG9. Not a gun you commonly see, ran on the defensive side. The smoke. Jose with the long angle and able to finish out that last attacker.
One of the first teams I ever saw do that with the smoke not bringing shotgun was G2, actually. I believe I was watching Citizen creep around on this map, actually. It was the first time I saw that, and you start to wonder why, but there's a lot of operators now that can make the rotates, that can do a lot of that work the shotguns would normally do. You have Alibi backup shotgun, you even have impacts, you have a lot of different things to help make it so that if you chose not to and you want to have a little bit better of a weapon for range, which there's a lot of long angles on this map, right? So it kind of makes sense to me to bring the smoke. Again, like you said, not always, it's uncommon. It's not always broad, but when you do see it, it makes a little bit of sense now with how many ops we're seeing and all the different utilities that have been added to the game. It allows that flexibility in the lineups. I love to see it. On attack, though, Zero Risk kind of showing us the same problems that they had shown us before. There's a little bit of life. Nurox trying to bring him back into the round, but in a 2v2, like, how do you play that situation? It's hard, but you give up the vertical. And the main complaint I have watching last round is where's the drones? They get peeked out from site. Someone pushes down the hallway into fireplace and gets that kill. How does Frost get away with that? Where are the cams? Shouldn't there be someone watching that? Things like that, you know, it's just going to cost you.
Yeah, I feel like there's not enough intel out and about for Zero Risk. Their drones just not able to find enough of the defenders. I mean, they should have had a drone set up at the top floor there last round just to be able to notice that Frost, but instead they elected to drone the bomb site possibly, and well, Frost was nowhere to be found. It ended up punishing the defenders for those last couple kills. However, I think we're seeing a master bomb site defense, which might alert us to a solar take. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is a basement bomb site. I'm completely wrong. But ISO is trying to hold the master bathroom side, and if you're able to shut down a couple drones, waste some time, buy some intel, that might shut down Zero Risk attacks. I mean, they've been kind of slow here on their front takes here, and Monster here looking to get aggressive, able to shut down Sturdy, brought down to 1 HP, but those adrenal surges from the Finka will be able to bring Monster back to at least some manageable health and possibly not to be 1 HP anymore.
Not a huge fan of the Sturdy push there. It seemed unnecessary. Ozamo going to get a kill as well. The missed shot from ISO gets shut down. Bino gets the refrag, but it's not really worth the body count that they are ending up with. A 2v4 now. This Rome game did not pay off. They have just dedicated way too many bodies, been way too aggressive. I understand that you know that they're lacking information a lot of the times from Zero Risk, but there it seemed like they did have that information. They knew the flank was coming. C4 going to down at least, Mr. Alex, but you know, can you collect that kill? I don't think they can. They also have the Finka who hasn't help them up. I guess they're going to go for a manual revive. Here's my guess as they throw a nade to try and buy a little bit of time, but they'll still have that 4v2 man advantage. Plenty of time.
Well, a little bit of extra health coming with the manual pickup, and then the Finka adrenal surge as well would be very helpful, especially to be at 40 HP rather than 20. Maybe able to take an extra bullet, maybe a little bit of damage from sort of denial thrown at them, even walking against maybe that cated wall. But still, look at the attack. They haven't even opened a wall yet. Ozomo still looking to just get this wall open. Finally, actually, the elbow wall has been opened, so that is good for them. But is that enough with that long angle not being open? It's going to be extremely difficult to challenge into the defense. Luck falls down. Bino trying to win their gunfight, but shut down by Bubs, who's able to make that entry onto that final player there. And a great attack for Zero Risk, finally finding their first round in 5. And it's about time that they start getting themselves back on the board before it becomes too late.
Good job from them. Yeah, catching out the aggression, getting some kills. Some missed shots helped them a little bit. I'll admit that on the top floor. Neurox probably have died there without getting a kill, but they get the trade at least. And I liked Bubs there, utilizing utility in the last moments. You know that there's only a few angles they're going to be watching. One is back at pillar area, the other one's blue, gets both of those kills, and it's a round cleaned up. You don't let it fall away. Had a huge advantage there. Would have been really kind of the backbreaker, I think, had they lost that advantage situation. But they come through pretty clutch and not sweating too much. And now they get to continue on with a little bit more confidence, having stopped the bleeding a little bit.
Yeah. Well, a bar defense coming from Fraudwatch, definitely one that is a very popular choice and upwards extension into library, just like how Zero Risk was extending and defending, except for I think they're electing to not go towards that dining room side, so they might leave that open. I like the Kiva barriers from Jose, who's able to make some extra protection, especially some harder angles, maybe to throw some nades into the site, and as well protect yourself from actually being able to leave on the balcony. If you just jump right up close to that fireplace, you can't be shot from the mezzanine window, which is really, really big to get back and waste some time. So great pre-planning from the side of Fraudwatch, at least, to be ready for that type of take coming from Zero Risk.
The other difference, too, is that they're only going with one shield. They've opted to go with Naruni with her gates instead. So it could pay off in the same way. It's still another form of denial. It's just not as versatile necessarily of having just a shield there in front of you to protect you. But either way, you know, you can still place those and buy utility as well. We saw utility was used against them to clean up the round. So maybe that's the concern. You got the Wamai, the Jaeger, and the barricades now. So, I mean, that's a lot of protection from you from projectiles, and that's what they're going to be relying a lot on to clear out the players' positions. So that could allow them to buy the time necessary upstairs to just play time, win the round.
Well, one thing that's going to be really a struggle for Zero Risk here on their attack is they've lost so many drones already. Only 3 left in the round, and it's been only a minute. So now you don't really know. You don't have that luxury of being able to find where all those defenders are. Instead, you have to bank off the Yana clones. And if that's not able to be baited out, I mean, more drones just trickling off the board. Only 2 left. One in the pocket of their Heartbreach Alzoma. The other one in the pocket of Alex, the Sledge. And if they're not able to find out where these last couple of defenders are hiding very easily, it might be really, really difficult to net a push. I mean, you have no idea where in Library of all the possible places they could be hiding. If Fraudwatch plays this correctly, they might be able to just hide away and tuck themselves into some unforgiving corners. Instead, Bub's able to knock down Jose. The Izami falls down in Library. That's a huge kill. But ISO, the drones not being out, and it falls. Alzoma goes down, and only 1 drone left on the board. ISO are able to find nearly a second kill, but Bubs resing themselves back to their feet. And Rocks able to shut down ISO, and currently 4v3 with a lot of time left on the board for an attack to start to come through.
See, minor error there. Had they called out, had ISO been getting a player up blue to support, they could have had the crossfire. That could have been dead to rights on that push. Instead, it's a solo push, and they get punished. Now, Bub's finding Sturdy as well. That's the player who could have pushed up blue. They're dead anyways, so a little hindsight. But Bino trying to save the round, gets kill onto Monsters. 3v2 in favor of Zero Risk, but Luck is also getting in on the action. The grenade from Mr. Alex is going to keep that man advantage in favor of Zero Risk. 2v1. Bino is above, could have that angle, could have the avenue to play the Devil's Maker here. He's going to be trying to drop down. He gets seen, though, and taken out. Narok's going to win the round there for Zero Risk and carry them onto a second in a row.
Narok's just hitting some great shots there, and a great execute coming from Zero Risk. I mean, they had no intel, no drones, and ISO nearly punished them on that hold on that mezzanine window up top, but instead not able to get enough frags, no help coordinated for that, and it ended up punishing them because now you gave up the top floor, you gave up multiple bodies for that, and Zero Risk had the man advantage going on up there, so it ended up just winning out. They just played refrag after refrag after refrag until it got to the very end there where Narok just won that gunfight. And even then, there was still an extra body who was planted the kill, so still would have been a tough clutch for Bino, who would have had to have won that 1v2. Instead, shut down. And Zero Risk, finding their second round in a row, is looking really good now as they propel themselves in this 3rd round attack.
Yeah, after that kill on to K9, again, what could have happened there was either you swing together, could have had the player move back up blue, and then you swung together. I think they would have I think they would have won that because the Finka got down, and then your player in blue would certainly have gotten the kill onto that. Wow. What? I'm just blanking on Nurex. I'm just blanking on the operator name for whatever reason. But if you're not going to do that, if you're not going to play together, then you don't. Why would you solo push with Jaeger's gun at this point? I'm just going to be honest. It's not. It's so unwieldy these days. You might as well, after getting that kill, you knew the diffuser was down too. They have to go grab it. Back off. Jump down. Get away. Play time from there. Instead, they go for the one thing you really don't want to do. No refrag potential. Solo swing. Gets killed. Now you're in a bad situation. Your team loses the round. So just small things like that are costing them pretty big here.
Well, we're back on the kitchen dining. This is a site that Fraudwatch did win. This is the only defensive win that they've had so far, or the only round that they've had any luck with. And that came down to Jose on that last couple bullets, just able to bring it back, find that last player, shut them down. They had a great early advantage, but threw it away early with Nerox hitting some really good shots upstairs. So as long as they don't maybe give Nerox the benefit of the doubt and get some more good shot placement to shut them down on the upstairs roam here, then Fraudwatch are looking away to walk this round away at a match point, but instead Sturdy able to shut down Nerox. That's the star player down right now, and ISO able to find a second, a third player. Bubs nearly getting their head taken off. Does actually Bino with a great shot onto them, and this upstairs hold has been incredible right now. Fraudwatch just shutting down body after body after body, each player up top getting a frag of their own, and that has completely stalled out the Zero Risk push. And now only 2 players left to try to make this attack and force so that match point is not granted to Fraudwatch.
It's going to be Mr. Alex and Monster here on that 2v5. And the nade comes through, but it does not get the kill. It could have been massive for them, but Mr. Alex player does find Sturdy, so that's at least one kill going in their favor. A second by Monster. They're trying to make this happen. It's a 2v3 now. They've brought it back a little bit. They're starting to gain control. Plenty of time on their side, too. A minute remaining, but all the other players have retreated back to site. They know that they don't want to lose any more bodies upstairs. You're gonna let them have it. Luck getting that kill onto the sludge as well, but still a buck does remain. Could get some vertical pressure, but still a nice C4 to bring it down to a 1v3 on the back of Monster trying to clutch it out.
Defenders just need to stay away from any of those holes that have been made or are going to be created by Monster potentially. Instead, ISO walking up the solar stairs, able to catch Monster off guard. No drones, no information in sight, and that shuts down the buck unexpectedly, waiting for their sister to walk up the stairs there. And the Canadian takes down the Canadian. Another round for Fraudwatch, who put themselves on the match point with a great upstairs defensive hold. Just need 2 rounds here. One of them they've got to win.
Another little small thing to look on is that you have 2 people capable of soft breach, right? One with the sledgehammer, one with the shotgun. You choose to have the one with the sledgehammer, who basically has to stand on the floor and hit it, versus the other one who could like stand on the bed and shotgun open the floor. Why take the riskier option? Like you still have 3 enemies left. You don't know necessarily what gadgets they have in pocket, and the C4 comes down and kills them. Now, obviously, there's still that risk of happening, but it's way more risky for the sledge to go for that vertical play than the buck. So it felt like an unnecessary risk, and it could have made them use the C4 without getting a kill, which would have netted you a game because they used up the C4. That's an explosive that they no longer have on the board. And you don't lose a life. So again, just small things to criticize, but it makes a massive difference. And now we're going to move into map point, excuse me. Fraudwatch up. We're going to go for that bar defense again.
Fraudwatch hoping for a better defense on the bar side of things. Maybe just not going to place themselves in these positions where they can't fall away or don't have any teammate to play the refrag. Instead, already looking to shut down some of this early intel. 2 drones off the board just within the first 15 seconds. 3 actually fall down, and Bino able to get a frag on a Neurox. That's again been the player who's been so good on the entry lately. For Zero Risk instead being cut down by Bino. A great opening pick for them, who now Zero Risk is forced basically to try to fight for their refrag here onto the player. Instead, Bino just trying to waste as much time, waste as many drones and utility. If they're able to win another frag here, instead actually just able to get away, timing themselves to run away with that flashbang. And a great roam by Bino early on in the round really is stalling out Zero Risk, because now they have to go back, re-drone upstairs, retake all the map control they just forfeited to try to chase after that Malusi. And it's already costing them drones, time, and lives.
Yeah, ISO Bullen gets away here. I was concerned if they're going to stick around and be off or not then on Bino's entry there, because it's like now you're in an isolated place in Piano. They could easily gotten that window and shut you down. So I'm glad they got out of there alive, but it was a risky move. So you don't want to make all the efforts in vain and just like erase all the positive gains that we've gotten. There's Bino though peeking out again, a little too aggressive, gets slapped down for it. They did have little HP, so it's not like the worst loss in the world. It's also utility, not much in pocket, so it's not the worst death to have, but still wasn't exactly necessary here. And it's only halfway through the round. You want to buy a little bit more time than this, and they can still do so. They still have the shield on blue, they still have ADSs to protect it, they still have other players like Jose up on, and then that's going to be Sturdy finding a kill onto Monster as well, give them back that advantage they had lost after Bino died. Going for an aggressive swing, the nade's going to come through, get caught by the Wamai though, so nothing going wrong just yet in that area, but they're going to lose that shield soon, and then what are they going to do? Well, they can play time, there's only a minute remaining.
Love the fallback here by Fraudwatch. I mean, slowly just giving up the ground that they don't need to hold on to anymore. And guess what's still on the board? That shield. Not enough clear was tossed through to clear it out, and that means they're going to have to take heads-up gunfights to try to win out this position. Sturdy, though, wants to hold on to this position. If able to just do that maybe for an extra 15, 20 seconds and then just fall away, force a very, very late execute here by the attack, it might propel them to a win here. Alex looking to get aggressive here on the player on the blue stairs, and Sturdy does just that. Falls away with just 20 seconds left in the round, and a quick execute's going to be forced out by Fraudwatch. Zero Risk Risk trying to find their way in the building still. Ozomo just unsure of where these defenders might be hanging out. The man with the diffuser hasn't even made their way into the building quite yet after falling down to the front door. Alex finally entering on to the front door, but the defenders are just waiting for the attackers to come into their arms. Ozomo making an entry up the hallway, able to find their way in the site, but shut down by Sturdy. Sturdy looking to finish off that second player in the mezzanine in the lobby area, not able to enter into the building. The Finka just a little bit too slow to follow up on some of their teammates' trades and kills, and that is a map for Fraudwatch.
Map 1 in the best of 3. They've taken advantage of the weaknesses that they had saw. Plenty of good roams from them. Both teams sometimes lacking information, but who came out on top in the situation of both teams lacking information is Fraudwatch. They're able to gun a little bit better, a little bit more thoroughly. They're also seeming to play as a team a little bit better. You see them get the refrags more often than not compared to the other side. That's something that Zeros needs to work on, because right now we're just not seeing it. They're losing a lot of bodies. The refrags aren't there, and then they're in deficits the rest of the rounds. So.
Well, Fraudwatch are just playing their game, really. I mean, Zero Risk just not able to fight out what they need. They tried really early, 2 great start rounds on the defensive side of things, then really struggled, gave up 5 rounds straight, found 2 more on the attack. But the adjustment game from Fraudwatch has been huge. I mean, just making the right plays, the right adjustments, and that's what's really starting to grant them these rounds as we start to find our way onto the second map of Cafe. We're going to take a quick break here, and Fraudwatch, who lost Cafe last time, a real bad 7-2 last week. Now, Zero Risk, hopefully able to find themselves this next map to send ourselves to map 3. But for that, we'll be back in a couple minutes. Stay with us and take a little breather here.
Show me loving. I need your loving. Cause I'm drowning in something and I can't come out. Just show me loving. I need your loving. Me, myself, ain't enough. It's like being hooked up to a crushing heart. I want you to know how bad it hurts. If you keep it beside along my heart. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now? The way I do. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now? The way I hold me, lover. I need you, lover. Cause I'm falling in too quickly and I can't break free. Just hold me, lover. I need you, lover. Me and myself ain't enough. It's like being alone in a crashing car. I need you to know how bad it hurts. Hearing the sound of my broken heart. Oh, 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 are you dreaming of me now?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Xenon Gaming Series. I am WeAlKu, of course, with Klimpse here, and we just watched a pretty good map one. It was 7-4, I believe, was the score line, but it wasn't that far apart. It just was one team just didn't quite seem to have the chemistry that we wanted.
Yeah, definitely Zero Risk. Very, very much struggling on the adaptation side of things. Watch, on the other hand, looking real good considering they weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs. Zero Risk has been in the playoffs 3 times in this league, but has yet to win a map. They're looking to do so here on Cafe. They definitely picked it after watching Watch's struggles last week, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to succeed on the map, especially after last map. Watch does have Bino in play, which was a player that definitely helped some organizational issues from last week and definitely is a big gunner on their end. And if they're able to take advantage of him, they might be able to just propel themselves to win this series 2-0.
I mean, even that last round of the last map, the very last round, opening kill, bought time, shot drones, got back, ended up dying later, but had bought the time necessary. So here we go. Map 2 Cafe. We'll see if they have changed it up enough. Obviously, last week, I believe, last matchup, at least for them, is 7-2. It's pretty rough. I'm certain they're hoping for more success here in this one.
Definitely rough against a team like Team Valence, but they did not have Bino in for this map, which definitely shows some of the struggle probably that came through on Fraud Watch. On the other hand, Zero Risk just struggled so much in that adjustment game last map. And again, taking off the Flores, I'm not sure if that's the ban you really want to go with here on Cafe. Sure, Flores being an operator that's so strong to clear out utility and devices and shields, with how much Zero struggled on some of their utility clear and some of that roam game, maybe they want to take out something else that is aiding in that. Maybe some of the Wamai or even a Jaeger band. Get spicy with it. Try to figure out what your problem is and make it a problem for the other team. Fraud Watch taking off the Thatcher, not a big surprise. I mean, it's Thatcher, and that's all we've seen.
It's interesting because they've played the shields relatively well on both sides. Zero Risk did win that bar defense relying on the shields upstairs. A big part of the reason they won one of the 2 rounds that they had won on defense. So it could help them here, but like you said, it was just as much of a deficit on the other side. They didn't really have many answers for themselves. So yeah, the Flores ban kind of a questionable decision. Either way, it's probably just for comfort at this point. You got the mirror and the Cade band, so that's going to make things a lot easier to open up. You don't have to watch out for those mirrors holding tight ankles, and it allows you to have a little more comfort when you're pushing in for certain. But it does also leave the Valk open, and this is a map where Valk can have a lot of tricky placements for their cams.
Well, Valkyrie on the board might elect to see some IQ, but instead, Zero Risk electing to not bring Valkyrie at all. Instead, looking to be very, very heavy on their denial. They've got a Rooney, they've got Jaeger, they've got Wamai, they've got Castle. They have everything in the world to try to hold on to the cigar shop, which is exactly what you're going to see. You're going to see Alex player probably, then Mute, who will be sitting in this cubby, locked up nice and tight, and Zero Risk if they don't have a plan. Or if Fraudwatch rather doesn't have a plan to dispatch of this player in this cubby, who have actually opened the hatch, which is a little bit puzzling for me because seeing that hatch open actually allows for grenades and different angles to be created. Maybe if you're looking through the pillar window, you might be able to see up the hatch and see angles into there that way. So with that, that means that it's going to be a little bit harder for Alex to actually play into this position here in the cubby, just like what is planned. And if that ends up being exposed, that's going to completely shut down the Zero Risk defense, considering that is where all of their emphasis and utility is facing.
It's interesting too that you mentioned the Wamai Jaeger and the Aruna Gates. A lot of denial, right? And then of course the castles. There's no shields to play with those, so it's really just to protect your positioning. But the problem with that is then you're gonna still have to peek any angles that you want to hold, and with no shield to protect you, it doesn't seem like it's all that worthwhile. I could be wrong. We'll see how it plays out. But you'd think that with all that denial for projectiles, maybe why not shield? But either way, we'll see how they decide to play it. The sledge is going to be important too with those castle barricades, so it's going to be someone that they're going to want to keep on the board. Sometimes he can be taken out from weird angles, get C4'd and such, but he's going to need to stay alive if they don't want to have to waste utility on those castle barricades.
Well, maybe I was a little wrong on how I was assuming the setup to be planned out. I mean, definitely exactly identical to one where you would see that cigar shop held. Instead, electing to barricade it off from the cocktail area side of things, the bar area, and rather electing to give up all of that space in the piano into the cigar shop and into the stage area, which is a lot of control. Instead, they've elected to open some lines of sight and head holes into the freezer area, which is going to allow for that Yana clone to get shot and might just slow down Fraudwatch enough if they're not able to make a quick entry and possibly find one of those players lurking in the freezer or bathroom.
Bulletproof has been spotted over in piano, so we'll watch them. There's an Aruna Gate there as well that they're going to have to burn away in some capacity. There are players playing below. There's also the C4 of the mute, but that's the only C4 they have. So we have to utilize that properly. See some drones getting shot out, so not able to get all the information that they would like. And I think we might have a glitch going on, so Ice is going to get a kill on to Nurok. So despite everything going on, they do get that opening kill. It is a little late though. They only have a minute to play with. Marooni's going to punch open that castle. That's the ability that she has. Try and peek out, but then gets shut down. Jose though does get that C4 from below onto their body by Mr. Alex player, but his teammates are falling apart in the meantime. Sturdy finding one, another body going to be found in the cocktail area, and Bino cleans it up onto Mr. Alex. A very clean round coming out from Fraudwatch.
It's a great, strong attack from Fraudwatch, just waiting for the right time. Get their opening pick and then explode on the bomb site. That's exactly what happened. You saw Sturdy just walk all the way up into the bar area because as soon as a player died on the side of Zero Risk, guess what? That opened up an angle. The problems have been for Zero Risk, their communication, some of the angles that they've been holding. If someone dies holding an angle, they may not have communicated what was being held and what is now exposed. That's exactly what Sturdy took advantage of, walking on into the bomb site, Bino cleaning it up. Just a great job by them overall. Jose waiting on Bubs to swing out with the Aruni, and I think we're going to see the exact same strategy played out by Zero Risk. Hopefully, they know the improvements and the differences and the changes they need to make so that they can be successful this round.
You know, it's hard for me to have faith when I see a team do the exact same lineup and go to the same bomb site. It means that they really think that that was a close round, right? That they just need to make some slight adjustments. But the problem was, you lost every gunfight. The only kill they got was the C4 from both. You have to take into consideration what your strengths are. And unfortunately, just from what we even saw last map, Fraudwatch seemed to be better at frag. Just straight up gunplay, they are the better team. And you're trying to go head to head with them by playing gunplay strats. You don't have shields to play off of. You don't have off angles that you're holding necessarily. You're also swinging out a lot of the time, which I understand you have to be a little aggressive here because it's just one floor. There's no peel back here. But it's not working out for them. So the concern here is there really is no adjustment, and I hope I'm proven wrong. But Bino killing himself is at least going to give them a little bit of a handicap.
Well, I think Bino was trying to throw the nade through the ticket window, but it either bounced off or it just did not get let go out of their hand. I actually had that happen to me in a game last night where the game just simply did not let me throw the grenade away. And so if that happened to Bino, I feel for him. It is painful and not enjoyable. So anyway, for losing your Finka, losing one of your main kind of IGLs and players with some great ideas, a big leader on the side of Fraudwatch is not helpful. But Sturdy has had a real hot gun lately. ISO as well. If they make something happen, they are definitely not out of this round. Sure, you've lost a player. Sure, you've lost some nades. But I think that the defensive setup is just a big problem for Zero Risk because it enables Fraudwatch to see so many angles to the bomb site. If they are able to read out this correctly, then they're able to get some of these huge frags, which are going to allow them to explode on the bomb site just the same as before. But instead, Salzomo with an aggressive swing and able to take out Luck the Harbreacher. Hobana falls down now, and Sturdy looking to get aggressive here.
Nox still holding this angle from the freezer area, far backstock, I guess, technically speaking. But either way, they are buying a lot of time, and that's what's necessary. And they get the kill, so it's only further of a boon, and then they can get a lot of shots done to Jose. Doesn't die, it takes a lot of damage, and that's a wall you can shoot through, buddy. So he's going to die, and Monster also following it up with another kill. So that was just another clean round, but in the opposite direction, each team going toe-to-toe. They made me eat my words there. That looked a lot better from them on the second attempt.
Yeah, I think that all starts off with Bino just kind of, again, most likely being stuck dying to an unfortunate bug in the game is my guess, because you don't see players, especially of Bino's caliber, nading themselves that often. So definitely a potential misclick or a bug on the game, and that I think is what really costed that round. Zero Risk though with a great defense, good swings, good aggression, well timed and well placed for Ozamo there on that huge swing across the balcony. And Rocks to find a couple good frags as well. We start to see a transition down to the bakery where we see a couple ADSs placed behind that counter, which makes me think that we're going to see a very, very heavily focused bakery hold.
It seems like it. Again, going with the Wamai Jaeger combo, so they're very aware of the amount of projectiles that are being brought from Fraudwatch, and they have been playing pretty consistently the same lineup, and then even more so, they have a Maverick this time, still brings those nades just like the Sledge that they've switched it out for him. So 3 sets of nades with the Finka, Iana, and now whether it's the Sledge or the Maverick doesn't matter, and then you have the burning of the Hibanas, and then of course the concussions that Zofia brings with those breachings as well. So just a lot of things that can be thrown at them. So I understand why they're playing the way they are with the utility, but they're also switching up a little bit with their denial. They're bringing Mute and Bandit. I guess you want all those walls, and then on top of it, they have some health kits available.
Yeah, Bub's able to get a quick frag on a Sturdy. Sturdy falling down has been a real big, impactful player on the side of Fraudwatch. I mean, that LMG has just been singing all game. We've been hearing it just sing through the defenders, especially on Chalet a lot. And now to lose that player is rough. But a lot of Yuto player, and nade comes through. Ozamo, though, able to take down Bino. And that's a huge frag from the Wamaya holding on. Monster as well, able to take down ISO. Ozamo with another one on Jose. And all of a sudden, it's all been brought down to Luck, the hard support player, finding their way outside of the bakery, just afraid of all of the angles that they may be fighting, not even sure where these defenders are coming from. Hearing these barricades get punched out and broken, possible gunshots all over the map, he doesn't know where these defenders are coming from, and currently has to just try to bait out maybe 1 or 2 picks and then start to try to find a way to win this round.
There it is, flawless round. Mr. Alex player getting that headshot with the SMG-11. Nice shot here. Does the face check first and then goes for the free fire, and it's good. I mean, good job from them. I don't want to take anything away from Zero Risk, because you know they played it the best they needed to, right? It just like everyone fed into them, but that's what happened. Is Fraudwatch literally just ran in. I don't know what they were thinking. I'll be straight up with you. That was pretty bad. You saw a player just jump into small bake, no information, just gets swung and gets killed. They're trying to push in. Also, Sturdy dying from that spawn peak. That's a very common spawn peak to get peeked from up in the piano area on stage. So to be caught from there is not good, right? It's not a good look. It happens from time to time. But when you start to get into the higher levels of play, like you can't die to that kind of stuff. And even though it was a slightly late peak, like just get closer to the building before you get on a drone or something. It looked like it was a little AFK.
Well, it is a map that FratWatch have struggled on in the past, and so far their struggles seem to continue, only having one round. Sure, we're early on into the map, but Zero Risk has won two very, very dominant defenses, and that is concerning for FratWatch, considering that they really need to try to find as many attacks as they can so that they can project themselves onto a strong defense. If Zero Risk are able to continue chaining these rounds together, it might just spell disaster for FratWatch and send us to map 3, where Oregon is looming in the shadows. Good old Borgen, the same thing over and over and over again, same way it's played, and that's probably what we're going to see here, especially if FratWatch cannot get their stuff together.
I just want to pick your brain a little bit. Like in pro play, they've actually been seeing more and more teams go with the fireplace mining hold instead. Do you have any thoughts on why you think that might be the case? Because I do like this hold, but without a mirror, it is a little bit harder to hold upstairs, especially above the site of library.
Well, fireplace and mining, it just depends on how you like the map. If you want to hold more piano base, make some really long angles across the freezer and just try to hold that top floor, it is what used to be like the main bomb site of Cafe, actually. I mean, mining and dining or fireplace rather, used to be the biggest or like main bomb site. That used to be the main go-to bomb site for all the defenses, and the bar cocktail side was actually the worst considered bomb site, but instead now it's been shut down. ISO able to get a quick frag on a monster. Bino as well, finding Bubs from another location on the map somewhere, and Nerox here now in a tricky position in Pillar, looking to try to find one of these attackers, maybe catch them off guard here on this common angle on the pillar itself, looking up to the new balcony. And if ISO isn't ready for this, it might spell disaster. Instead, able to creep past that defender, and now with no defenders left upstairs, they've all vacated the premise. It's now allowing for FratWatch to get control upstairs. However, Luck has been down to a frost mat. Sneaker placed behind the J bar in the cigar shop. Sturdy able to find a frag on an Alex player now, as pretty much Zero Risk has just been dismantled. Their whole defense has been torn apart, and Nerox is looking to make a play happen here in Pillar.
That's pretty funny. I can understand why I wouldn't expect that. It was kind of random, but it worked out, but it didn't get a kill, right? My main thing was no one's watching from heaven over towards New Balk, and it's going to be a nice kill for Nerox to try and bring it back, and he gets another one, actually trades there, gets down himself. Now it's all up to Alzamo in a 1v3, essentially, as their teammate is down. They might go for the up, trying to revive him, but again, it's not a good idea, and there it is, the Overwatch from above, looking down, gets the kill under their head, so... That was a rough round, but again, what was going on there? They dropped Patch for free. There's no C4, which could have been placed below just to prevent that, right? Make them clear it out, try and buy time. Someone playing below watching for the drop, or someone playing on heaven to watch it. No matter what, letting them drop for free and then not even knowing it. The player on the shield there, I think it was the Azami. I think.
Monster, it was the Frost.
Monster? Frost. Okay. Well, either way, they're just unaware completely. Good teamwork, I will say, on the other side, though, to time it with the Sophia, Sturdy, taking out the shield, and then ISO, Bulin, peeking out, getting that kill. It was really good teamwork, but they should have been a little more aware of what was going on. They just seemed to have no clue.
Definitely. I mean, I'm not sure what Zero Risk is really trying to achieve with that cigar hold. It's very, very lackluster. I mean, just maybe one little ADS. That's not really going to happen against a team like FratWatch, who's been pretty good with their Uto clear. I mean, they're pretty unfrugal about just dumping everything they have at you, and especially their bullets, let alone. So a great round from them to be able to find that pick, and I think Zero Risk is just trying to hold too much of the map. Remember, when you're holding reading and dining, you really want to fall back as much as possible, waste as much time instead of your bodies. Don't worry about getting the kills, which seems to be Zero Risk's game plan, is get as many kills as we can early so it slows down their attack, but it's not working out for them. It's either get all the kills or they lose the round, and that's what seems to be happening right now. And a lot of the time they're losing the round as Alex now has positioned themselves in the cigar shop area and has no way out other than the hatch trap, which can easily be covered by that window play on red if done so properly.
Exactly, yeah, that's a death trap. I mean, they're playing in positions to die. That's what I've seen. Even that Frost, like you said before, playing in the cigar shop. You're not even near sight. You were above the opposite side. no one was really playing above site itself. Like, they didn't play the time whatsoever last round, and now we see them playing against some positions that are a little scary. Alex has dropped away, and no one was on the window, so, I mean, this time, nothing to be lost from it, so that's good at least. It's kind of lucky, too, though, to be fair. And the C4 can be placed. It looks like they might have been thrown up there. I don't know for certain, but I feel like they might have thrown a C4 up there underneath the new hatch. So that's something to watch out for, too. That could be a kill. That's the only kill they got in the first round, though. So they need to win some of these gunfights. We saw them do it the second round when they re-attempted this site, but that was also when Bino had been dead. They had a man advantage. The mental might have been a little shooken on the other side. Here, they can't rely on that. They're going to actually have to just win out straight up in a 5-5.
Let's talk about how much util has really been cleared and how much ground has been given. Not a lot of util having to be cleared for all the ground that's been obtained by Fraudwatch. I mean, they've got all the top floor map control. They really need to be able to start kind of getting some piano control and possibly work and execute into bar, but they're slowly trying to pick away at these defenders who are hanging out in bathroom and freezer. If they're able to do so, then they're going to try to explode on the bomb site here, but instead just looking to drone, get some intel, try to find out where these defenders are holding and if they are in pre-fireable angles or if there's anything they need to clear out.
Well, the fire shots come through, and Nurox gets the kill. Bino, though, and Luck each finding themselves some bodies. Alzama finding one to try and bring it back. Finds a second onto Sturdy as well. The teammate of Monster is down. They can try and go for that revive. It's going to cover while Alex does that. And now it's a 2v3 for Luck and Bino. They have to clutch this one out, try and get the advantage and give themselves at least a split half here. But they might just have too much to do with only 30 seconds remaining. Not a lot of time for them. They're starting to push in, but they have to be aware of all these different angles. They're too scared. They're not going to go for the main push. They have to push down white corridor here, and they're pairing up together. They have refrag potential, but it also could be a meat grinder for them. There's one kill for Bino. The refrag from Alex, though, and Luck finding them. It's back and forth between them. It's a 1v1, but it comes out for Alzamo. A triple kill, I believe, on the round to clutch it out.
Alzamo hitting some really good shots there. You saw some great deep angles being held into piano with that 1.5, and it does well. Alzamo finding 3 huge kills for their team, and it was so good for them to be able to gain those kills. I mean, so many angles being opened up by Zero Risk that now is starting to punish Fraudwatch because they're not sure where they're even getting shot from at this point. 2 players to die to those holes is just not okay, and it's unacceptable at this level of play. I mean, we're in playoffs, Wes, and if we're not able to get, I mean, some of the intel on where some of the site is and what's open on the site, then it looks really bad on you as an attacking team. Fraudwatch, though, have put themselves at least with 2 rounds on the attacking side. If they're able to find a third, they'll definitely have the advantage going to the defensive half with Zero Risk. Looking to find another bakery defense, which they found one really strong one last time. So expect Fraudwatch to possibly change up their push. They bring in the Jackal, which makes me expect a roam clear from the top floor down.
Now, I was going to say that's what I'm hoping they'll do, because last time they just meat grinded them way into bacon. It was a flawless round. They just got slammed. So I would really like to see them go ahead, you know, take some time, clear out above, especially pushing down red, and then maybe someone can jump into small bake because you have someone covering it, right? Last time they just jumped in and died. If you want to get small bake, you want to open up that wall so you can actually look behind the bake counter slightly, get the angles, maybe try and get the player in there. That works too, but you still have to do your due diligence. You can't just go for a straight one-sided push. You have to get a little bit more map control than what they had shown us before. Now they seem to be doing it. You got the Jackal and the sledge above, both the ones that you'd want, the shotgun and the sledgehammer. So you're going to see them go ahead, drone out, take their time, but they can't take too much time is the criticism here too. If you take too much time, it's not good, but they already netted a kill. Bino finding Bubs. It's going to open things up for them, and now I think that's going to allow them to have a little bit more free work above to try and get some vertical pressure.
Well, Bino struggled a little bit on Chalet, but really starting to heat up here. It's Sturdy not able to find out where these players are from the intel. A lack of a refrag as well from the attack is really ugly here. Alex being forced away on a drone. A Jackal tracks coming through, pinging him in the dining area, and Bino able to find a frag on a near rocks. Great entry kills from them, and Alex has been forced all the way back to the bar area. But guess who's still upstairs? It's Monster hanging out in the mining area. They've been uncaught in the engine area, and they might be able to catch a frag on a Bino, but they don't have their back turned properly. Jose may be able to shut down the bandit from behind. Instead, Monster able to get away, trying to get a C4 out, and instead able to find their way back safely into the coat area, which allows for a huge roam to be put off. But guess who's still alive, Wes? The sledge. That means Jose is going to to be able to have as much free reign as they want to make as many free, fun lines of sight into the bomb site, and this could punish Zero Risk immensely if they do not make sure that they stride away from those vertical angles.
Well, another person to be aware of is Savannah alive. Going to allow the hatch drop if they want it. Also could still open up lines of sight into the horizontal lines of sight, excuse me, into sight. So that's going to allow them at least a lot of options here with a minute to play with. Sledge still making some of those vertical holes. You see they have the hatch open, but they didn't shoot the bandits off the wall, so they can't get that wall opened up. Maybe a little bit of a misplay there, because that could have been helpful. A hatch drop alone is pretty dangerous. You want someone to help cover from the horizontal line of sight. Here, they're running out of time and they're lacking information. It's not looking great, but they've at least isolated the bandits' location. But there's no one to pinch here. No one's come down red. That could have been a huge play, but with only 30 seconds, it's not looking very great.
Well, I think there's going to be a couple players who attempt to drop down the freezer while Bino tries to lock down the bandit of Monster return to sight. And that's exactly what we're going to see. Bino here swinging into the hallway. May have gotten the audio prompt of the bandit hopping to reception. Does seem to do so. Has the ping from the drone. Gets shot. Jose able to win their gunfight onto the bomb site as well. Alex though getting a kill on a Jose. And Bino getting that player down. And Alex winning it out with the shotgun luck. Not able to get that final frag there. No refrag comes through. The call out just wasn't there. And a great defensive play by Zero Risk on such an aggressive top floor roam, cycling bodies upstairs and eventually getting back to site, able to play out the last few seconds of the round, dodging the vertical holes beautifully, and another great round by them, propelling themselves 4-2 onto the side swap.
Bino just got swung from entrance or reception, excuse me, and then looked away because he thought he backed off, and he didn't. He just did a quick peek and then repeat. And as he turned away, he gets slammed down by that kicker. That could have been a huge difference, right? Because there's still time, just a little bit of time, but just enough time that had he gotten that kill, then it's him and Luck. Maybe Luck is also less worried because now it's a 2-1, and they don't have to play the way they did at that exact position. Either way, even if Luck died there, you still have the chance for the Finker to push in and try and get that last kill in a 1v1. But that death right there was really the nail in the coffin there. Luck, even had they gotten that kill, it's done. There's nothing for them to do. They try and plant, then they're going to get pushed in, and they're just going to die while sticking to the plant. So the Bina really needed to live there, and they did a lot of work, don't get me wrong. 2 opening kills, great job. But again, that's why the roam clear needs to be a little bit more coordinated. You saw them lose bodies. There's too many people on that roam on the second floor, or excuse me, the second floor. And so they get swung out, they lose bodies, they end up with an even 3-3. That's not good enough. You got a free opening kill to begin with. You need to carry that forward.
Well, one of my personal dislikes of that last attack round was just the positions of Fraudwatch on that clear. Jose was still up on the red stairs and could have easily shut down that bandit from walking up the red stairs and killing some of those players from the back and stopped that very aggressive push that we saw. Instead, it was not able to be caught out. Bino has already expelled their C4, attempting to nitro one of the players on the hatch, and now looks to fall back to safety in the cigar shop. Hopefully going to play aggressive here as 2 players drop red, and if Bino is able to get aggressive here, which is able to find one, Nerox, Jose actually able to find that frag, and the Buck now all alone downstairs, no teammate to help them out, is going to look to try to get a refrag here, but instead Jose here on the angles here for the red hatch drop. Just no drones clearly from Zero Risk. Instead, taking all the risk and just dropping the hatch with no intel was a poor decision that's already cost you your Yana, one of your most important fraggers in this game.
It's rough. This is something we've seen a couple times, though, where they try and do solo plays and they get slammed down. Here's Bubs dropping it. He gets the kill. Had the information, but guess what? Jose was prepped for it. We saw them holding those lines of sight on the feet holes, and you're laying down. So Monster gonna maybe go for a repel here, but could get run out on, right? That's the other concern now. They have the man advantage. They might go for some crazy plays here, especially knowing that they've killed some players. And looking at the lineup, they have no claymores, so they could easily run out and get kills. It looks like they're not going to be that aggressive, but it is something to be aware of. You know, if they like look at this, look back at this round, they're like, huh, maybe that's something we could do in the future. But right now, they have the man advantage. A 4v3, only a minute remaining. They've given up a little bit of control in Cigar. They see 2 players stacked up here. Alzamo is going to at least try and help things out. He's going to push actually deep into sight, and they don't necessarily seem to be aware of it. This could be the play, trying to isolate that player. player in the bar stock. He does do so. Monster finding Jose as well. It's going to leave it all up to Iso Bulin after having a huge advantage of 4v3. Now it's a 1v3. They've massively thrown this round. He has to make a clutch play. The plant's down. It's a 1v3 post plant.
Fast attack by Zero Risk, and all of a sudden Fraudwatch on the back foot. Iso here in a 1v3 with Castle, the UMP 45, a strong gun but a slow shooting gun, and especially now you do have the 1.5 and you do have the shotgun, which is going to allow them to make a rotate here in top piano. But look at the drones, look at the intel that's been gathered by the attack, and with only about 10 seconds here to hop onto the diffuser, it just doesn't look like it's going to be doable. Monster here on the prone angle, able to hold onto the castle on the new balcony and shut down this round. A complete spin of what we expected after such good denial from the Azami and the Mute. Now all of a sudden turns on its head, and Zero Risk able to find yet another round.
Was no one playing Cocktail? I have to ask, how does they have the information, clearly the player in bar stock / freezer saw the thermite push up. Where's the refrag? Someone could easily have swung and got that kill if they're playing Cocktail. I don't think anyone was. And that's like a huge position. How is no one playing in one of the primary bomb sites like that? It costs you a 4v3. I just don't get it.
Yeah, definitely puzzling. I mean, puzzling decisions from both sides, really positioning on the side of Fraudwatch, but also Zero Risk just electing to drop the red hatch. No care given, no fear, and ended up losing a body early for that, but still able to punish Fraudwatch. I mean, their defense just did not fall tight enough. Really good denial, real good, just slow push. I mean, just really slowed them down enough to where they weren't able to find their way in the building all that early, but quickly able to readjust. Zero Risk, realign themselves back into the bomb site, and very easily got that aggression underway. Sturdy here now throwing an ADS into the piano to help possibly Jose hold this position for a little bit longer, who experienced a little bit of trouble with utility getting dumped their way and is going to look for that same thing. Iso here might be aggressive here and actually look to jump out on the sledge player who's opened up this window. As you hear this window start to get prepped, but Iso quickly thinking better of it, running back away into the red hallway.
Probably the smart move. You saw the player on the rappel actually had flipped upside down, so they were ready for it. Like if that jump, yeah, see, Mr. Alex was ready for it. He's like, if you come out here, you will die. And Iso going for a little bit of a distraction just to buy a little more time. And it's smart because this is the sledge, so they can't do their job very well here. They're going to be on this rappel all around. You know, a whole minute has already elapsed. So they have the buck, so I mean, you have someone else to do some of the work too. So not like a huge deficit, but you're still isolating a player on that rappel. Now you're making them designate someone over there. Iso might go for a run out on the main entrance here, and he's going to go for it. He's a little bit slow on that peak and does damage, but it's the ump as well. So like you mentioned before, very slow shooting gun. So had the rate of fire been a little higher, maybe gets that kill. Unfortunately for him, they escaped.
A little bit of damage done to Monster, but quickly healed back up by the fake of the on-field medic. Able to do just a little bit of HP back to their player of Monster, who has kind of exploded here on this map cafe. I want to say that they've had some pretty big impact on some of the rounds here, as now nades start to shell out the bomb site and slowly start to whittle away at some of the utility. Bino here gets shut down by Bubs, who I believe was actually on the skylight, and now a drop from the new hatch is going to start to entail this push into the bomb site area.
Jose is down, and they can see the ticket. They're trying to fish for this kill, finish him off, but still up for now, but no one can help him. I think this is an isolated position. Well, I say that, and you see the push up from Sturdy. Very dangerous, but they haven't gotten rid of this castle barricade still. There's only a minute remaining, and it's still persisting here. And holding the angle, Sturdy could get pushed out on, and they're going to go for the laying down shots and get that kill. So Monster, while they did take a lot of damage, they're being overly aggressive, designating too many people to this position. Pubs finding luck in the meantime. Now they have site control. They start getting a plant down, and it's a 2v4. We've seen this situation before. Did not go well. 1v4. Now Iso does find one, needs to find more, gets a second, trying to win out the round yet again with that ump in hand. This time has a lot better of a chance to do so.
ISO getting that plant down is great, and all of a sudden finds 3 and looking at the 1v4. Alzomo is below and has to run all the way back upstairs and might not have enough time to do it. The defuse is coming through. Alzomo trying to go for the floor bang and is not able to find the body. A 1v4 by ISO. Huge plays by the Council, not able to do it the round before, but this time makes it happen. A great job by them, not able to rescue their teammate in Piano, but it doesn't matter. ISO, huge shots being played in a round tossed away by Zero Risk, netting FraudWatch their first defensive round of the half.
This is the throw bowl, man. I don't know who can throw harder. You had a 4v3 that we saw thrown on one side, and now a 4v1 thrown on the other side. I gotta hand it to it. It was a good play. They had obviously isolated different angles to get the 1v1s and went out with an ump in hand as well. So credit to ISO Bulin. But at the same time, what are some of these positions, man? Like, what is going on? It's mind-boggling. It hurts a little bit, not gonna lie. But I'll just give them the credit there. FraudWatch at least bringing it back a little bit closer. And if they lose, at least it won't be as bad. You know, they got 3, which is more than they lost with that 7-2 before.
Gotta say, I'm just questioning so much about the choices being made by Service. You knew that castle was in Piano, and instead of electing to plant Cocktail Baby and post-planting just a little bit deeper into the bomb site, as well as Alzomo, who actually dropped down in a pillar. I'm not sure why they did that. They could have just sat at the bomb site, stayed safe, played it smart. Instead, ran all the way away, tried to run up back up red, but it was too late. Went for the floor bang. Not enough intel came through, and that is what costed them the round. Simply just positioning and play choice. I mean, they decided to just run away from the castle after losing one body. The Buck tried to get away and not able to do so. Unfortunately, the Yana lost their gunfight, and it was all down in the dumps from there. And now FraudWatch here have a chance to hold on to the Bakery. A lot of util clear come through, and if Bino's able to get back away safely, which he does so just well, perfectly, then look at all the util that's been expelled. 3 flashbangs, 2 grenades, a smoke canister, maybe even a Cali Lance charge. Not quite yet, but Zero Risk looking to finally find their way into Bakery here and start to open up these walls.
Well, they got the Cali too, and with the Cade band, that should be all you need to get things off of the wall. Allow it to be opened up. You're gonna go first for that prep wall, and well, they could try and impact here, but you don't see Bino going for it. I think that's probably the wise choice. You don't want to risk that. It's gonna be one of the Osuns being taken out. That's actually gonna be both of them at least placed. I don't know where the other one was put down, but either way, they're gonna be holding out, and on this shield, that's gonna be a huge pivotal point. If they can get this kill or destroy the shield, it can push them back even further. They're making good time on the attack, but it's not perfect. And my main concern is that it's really one-dimensional. They haven't really pushed anywhere else except for Bakery.
Yeah, it's only Bakery control netted for the attack, and if these defenders are upstairs, which you see a lot of vertical lines of sight have been made, this could be absolutely detrimental to Zero Risk. Instead, Bub's able to find a frag on a Jose, but immediately traded out by Bino, who's still on this prep window, just causing a huge problem for the attackers. Alex looking to find possibly any players trying to find their way back into the bomb site. Instead, ISO has these great angles that have been created upstairs, and it seems like the attack is getting very antsy and looking to find their way into the bomb site. Bino, though, able to find 2, 3 kills, nearly finding a 4th on Alex, but instead shut down. And now ISO, who's still trying to hold angles from above, Neurox and Alex, the last 2 players of the attack of Zero Risk, trying to find their way in. If Sturdy is able to win out this gunfight, it's surely a round win for FraudWatch, unless some missteps are made. But no, Alex player able to find a frag there, and now looking for this player holding deep into the bomb site. Luck having to deny the sledge from pushing in deep, and ISO, who's all alone upstairs. This means they cannot help their teammate out. ISO is trying to make their way down the red stairs, but they are well aware of it, and if it's not ran out properly, Neurox is able to get the kill. This needs Lux into a 1v2. They're trying to find the frag. The plants start to go down, and if there's actually coverage, which there is by Neurox, all of a sudden Zero Risk has pulled this round back and brought it back into retention. They send themselves on the match point after battling back from brutal frags by Bino. FraudWatch throw that round away, and again, just look like Cafe is not their home base.
I feel bad for Bino. He gets such a massive amount of kills, triple kill, I believe, and then dies. Putting your team into a 3v2 should be winnable. Player above has angles, but your player over in coat. I think it's Dirty.
Dirty
Yeah, that's how
was
you
the
say it.
Jaeger.
Yeah, overstepped a bit and is not looking to the right at all. They were so focused over towards sight that they just didn't even seem to have any sort of caution towards the right hallway there. And there's no one protecting him from there. Like, he should know that. His teammate should have called out, I'm watching above, I'm watching the vertical onto the breach. If that's the case, your player in the back of by kitchen and sink area can watch the prep window. So you have both entries covered. Why do you not watch the hallway then? That should be your job, right? That should be what you should be focused on, and yet they're not. I think it's, again, one of those things that sometimes you just double peek an angle, sometimes you leave something open. I think that's kind of what happened there, and it cost them people.
Definitely did so, and now FraudWatch going back to good old tried and true bakery. Hopefully going to make a couple adjustments that just might allow them to hold this site a little bit better. The Legion being brought out instead of the T-Bird, electing to ignore the health boost that could come through, because I believe every player was headshot or not in a position where they could get back safely to one of those health boosts. Instead, gonna elect to bring the intel, which is, I think, a smart decision. Those goo mines are great for being shoved in the hallway, and a little bit of miscommunication on who's gonna take down the barricade. Jose looking to get aggressive here with the SMG-11, might be able to find a player as they go for this huge burn on the Baker, and Dano's already looking to possibly get out of here. But instead, elects to sit there, sit tight, and play their life. A nade gets burnt by the ADS, another nade coming into the door, but everything is being burnt out, and Bino is actually able to win a fight. 2 kills for Bino, 3 for Bino, goes huge on the bakery door, completely shuts down the FraudWatch attack, and has eliminated just about every single player on the board. Only the Finka of Bubs and Alzoma, the Thermite player, remain, but Bino is on for 4, takes down Bubs, and it's all down to Alzamo, left alone in a 1v3, able to take down Bino, a 1v4, excuse me, now brought back to a 1v3, but the damage has been done. Bino has completely erased Zero Risk off the board, just continuing to be a difference maker in these rounds, and this forces Alzamo to try to win yet another clutch round.
I've seen Bino pop off and they still lose a round, so I mean, I'm not going to count it out. Yeah, there's plenty of time still, 1 minute and 15 now. It's unlikely. So the FraudWatch is staying alive, but even if they win this round, they still need 2 more to get to overtime. And so they need to clean up some things. And this is the bomb site that they're looking strongest on. They kind of threw last round a little bit. And so with that in mind, then where do they go? They haven't looked very strong upstairs. So you still, even if they win this round again, they need to find some solutions, and they need it now, as they can't afford any more rounds, or else they go into map 3. And at that point, no one has momentum, really, except for maybe even Zero Risk having won the previous map. But then again, I don't really count that normally in a best of 3, right? So they're going to have to kind of reset their minds here and try and clutch and claw their way back in.
Well, Luck able to close out the round there onto Alzamo, finishing off, topping off Bino's immense 4K to start off that round. I mean, a huge job by them, getting a little aggressive, swinging out the bakery door, looking for the ace. I mean, we all know that feeling of, hey, let me get my ace, let me go swing, and he gets shot in the back. It happens to everybody. It's the clip killer, the clip ruiner, but I think you can still clip that and throw it on the good old TL, because why not? Some great headshots hit by Bino, and now FraudWatch have put themselves back into reach of potentially reaching overtime here on this map. They're looking to find just 2 more rounds to propel themselves there. A better result than they were on last week, Cafe, where they lost 7-2, now netting 4 rounds, and they are on the defensive half, which is, in my opinion, a little bit of an advantage, but they did struggle on that bar cocktail site, which means that they might just not have enough in the tank to close out this game. Instead, they elect to go reading, and a great, hopefully, hold for them. It's gonna start to put this back together to where they're 1 round away from OT.
I like it, right? Because I did mention upstairs was pretty weak for them. So to see them at least go to this site knowing, like, yeah, we might have to go to this site eventually, but let's give ourselves a little bit of momentum, a little bit of confidence. We got last round. If we can get this round, then we're 1 round away. We have 2 in a row. You know, it can really change the mindset. So I like the change up. And also, they haven't seen this bomb site defended yet. So they don't know what you're going to bring. You have that element of surprise on your side for FraudWatch, and we'll see if they can capitalize on it. Now, the C4 is prepped. They're waiting to hear a repel Q, but no one's up there yet. Oh, here it comes, but I don't think the angle's quite deep enough. So I saw if he throws this, I don't quite think it's going to land.
It might be, but Ozama looks like they're ready for the C4 to come through. ISO elects better than to go for the C4 kill and instead has put themselves in a little bit of a precarious position. And an impact or a nade comes through below, nearly able to shut down ISO, but instead now puts themselves in a weird position. ISO still here on this new balcony extended ledge, trying to find their way back towards safety. And elects to hop over the bar, possibly hop back down to the pillar and just get away from dodge. Zero Risk, on the other hand, really slow here on this upstairs entry, in which they've been pretty good on so far for the bar cocktail takes, but this basement take, or this reading take rather, the second floor take, it's going to be much more difficult to try to find your way in, because guess what? Time is a factor, and that may play into this round hugely with only about a minute and a half to go.
I like the heavy hold that they're doing upstairs. They're trying to make sure they buy as much time as possible. This is not a site that you can give up control for the minute and a half remaining. You do see them drop down a little bit, but there's still another player up here. Hopefully, with the amount of bodies that they've shown, they are making them slow on their push. Jose, the last line of defense up here. Bino finding a kill. Another one, 2 in this round. He's been so hot these last couple of rounds. And Alzama falls. It's going to be another peek out. Jose trying to find one to add to the tally, but not able to do so. Exchanging damage with Bubs. The Bubs has healing in the pocket. That's the advantage that the Finka does have, as well as an OMG. But still only a minute remaining now in a 3v5. Fraudwatch trying to just hold out this defense a little bit longer, and they still haven't even cleared out up top fully yet. So this is only going to help them the longer Jose can survive here. He finds the body. Bino does get killed by Bubs' nades, but still, job done. Another frag by Bubs, but it gets instantly slapped back by ISO Bulin, and it's going to all be up to Mr. Alex player in a 1v3.
Extremely aggressive play by that player who walks their way up the white hallway, and now Alex looks to drop down the hatch, but he's just been brought down to a sliver of HP, shut down by Luck with the shotgun, who whips it out and puts the sledge back into the grave. Into the coffin they go, and guess what? OT is now possibly available. 1 round left to bring us into that overtime side. And that might be all that Fraudwatch needs to propel themselves to a victory. They're definitely a lot closer than they were last week. And they look much better. Bino, who's just been on an absolute tear, 9 kills through the last 3 rounds. I mean, a 3.0 KD over those rounds has been extremely impactful. We're sitting at just about 15 kills. It's been huge. Bino, I cannot believe how amazing you're doing right now. I mean, just huge shots being taken out. It's completely shutting down Zero Risk. They get on their back foot. They're not even sure what to do about you. Now, I want to talk about the scoreboard a little bit, because look at the side of Fraudwatch. It's really heavily dependent on Bino right now. ISO is going positive, did have that 1v3 earlier on in the game. But other than that, there's been nothing too impressive. Jose definitely on a struggle, as well as Sturdy, who really thrived on Chalet. Now, on the side of Zero Risk, much more even and much more balanced. Just about every player either positive or even in kills. Bubs maybe just a little negative, but really not too far off from going positive themselves. And that is something to be looking forward to.
Yeah, 7 is the lowest, 9 is the highest. So even across the board. No one is the hero here, right? They are all doing what they need to do at different times, each coming out to try and bring this victory to fruition. But again, that factor, the X factor, isn't there. And that could hurt them a bit. Now, the thing too is, even if they lose this round, like, who gets overtime? Because if they lose this round, it's been a 4-2 split for the defense, I believe. So that would allow then whoever has defense to have a huge advantage going into overtime. So that's something they have to be aware of. If they want to stop that, though, from getting into their minds and being a worry, they need to win right here, right now. They still have a chance to shut it down before it gets to overtime. But a lot of it comes on to the fact that they haven't been able to get that opening kill. Bino has been the one to get the opening kill. In that tear of the last 3 rounds, it's been him over and over again. They need to shut him down, or at least get an opening kill to at least give themselves that confidence to move into this round. A shot missed onto Bino themselves. That could have been it right there.
Wow. Bino looking to get really aggressive, and this could punish their team, because if they go down, I think that we will go to a map 3, especially because of how impactful he's been the last couple of rounds. And with most of his team not showing up on the scoreboard lately, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Bino nearly taking out their own ADS with that drone swinging on by, but instead able to tag up that player on the piano repel. Alex taking a little bit of damage, and now as Zero Risk try to find their way to fight off Bino in this piano hold, a much different take has been established, and Bino able to take down Bubs is a huge initial frag here, and now they start to fall their way back. ISO able to get a kill on a monster as well on Ticket. ISO with the jump out, able to take down Alex. Huge kills coming out from them. Nerox looking to find a nade, but it gets zapped out by an ADS, and now the aggression comes through. Lucky able to finish out the last 2 kills, and Zero Risk has been shut down. We're back into overtime, a 6-3 comeback, all of a sudden brought back round by round by round, and now Fraudwatch finding themselves on attack in overtime.
That's the hard part. They've clawed themselves through a deficit to get to overtime on defense, where it looked kind of rough, but they did manage to have that advantage overall on the defensive side. Their attacks were pretty rough, right? I mean, there were some rounds that were thrown, to be fair, but overall it didn't look good, not compared to the first map on their attacks. So they have been on defense these last few rounds. Hopefully that's given them inspiration to look at what have we done in defense, what have they done in defense to be successful, because they need to change it up a little bit, because again, 4-2 splits for each team. They're not the ones starting on that defense, so they have to be the ones to make the difference. They have to be the ones to be the catalyst to make that change in the way things have gone so far.
Well, it's been rough, but Fraudwatch are starting on attack, which is a little concerning for me, considering the fact they elected to choose this side going into OT on Cafe, because they had that choice. They had that privilege to choose what side, because Zero Risk chose this map, which means that Fraudwatch chose attack. They've been struggling on their attacks pretty hard, and that's really concerning, especially leading into this round. Now, they are electing to do this top-down clear again, which I think is definitely the right call. Bubs here is going to get aggressive with the C4 and may be able to find one. If he does so, it's going to put Fraudwatch on the back foot, especially if it ends up being that Jackal or that Sledge.
Well, a slight correction would be actually that the team that chooses the map does choose the overside time, and then their opponents choose the regulation.
Oh, you're totally right. I am so wrong.
Yeah, that's all right. So just to keep that in mind, that means Zero Risk knew that the defense would probably be a little better on this map, so they actually made the smarter choice to choose this as their overtime side. So they have that advantage, but still, I think opening kills have been a huge impact. I don't have the stats in front of me. I haven't been keeping that close of track, I admit. But just by my eyeball test, the opening kill has been hugely impactful on whoever wins the round. Now here, it's a trade, so it's not really going in favor of either team. That is going to be Jaeger dead, and I think you take that exchange for Zero Risk because you took out the Jackal. And now on the backside, on a cam, Bubs has an absolutely free kill. Another shot down below gets sturdy. Holy crap, they just completely lost that one because of that play right there. Luck and Bino now have to play clutch in a 2v4, and they have minute and a half remaining, but it's still not looking great.
Bino has been a star player to shut down a lot of what Zero Risk has done, but immediately killed by Bubs. Bubs, who gets 3 on the round, huge impact kills, but Luck actually finds 2. Zero Risk are starting to throw themselves away, and if Monster is able to find one of these later defenders and put themselves in a 1v1, this could be huge for them. They've got a minute to work with and still all of their pellets to work with, let alone a couple flashbangs and drones, so a lot of utility and a lot of time to work out. Hopefully going to open up this red wall for themselves and let themselves an angle into the bomb site, possibly even an entry point. Instead, let's go outside and possibly going to work out the bakery side of the map. Now, Zero Risk, you need to be careful here. You need to not overpeak. Don't overextend yourselves. You've got the intel. You know where the Habana is coming from. But if you overpeak and don't play for this Habana to plant, then you're going to be causing a real big problem. I think that these players should be playing back way further than what they are right now. Instead, let the Habana plant. But now, Luck, who's going to open up this red wall, looking to figure out what exactly they want to do. Opening up a rotate, but probably not going to push through there. Probably going to think better of it and looking to find just these last 2 players. About 20 seconds. A drone goes through to the double door and tries to get some more intel, but Alex knows that this player is coming through prep. The C4 comes through, does about 50 HP worth of damage. Alex doing a little bit of damage to themselves. Alzomo able to close it out with the MP5K. Both players on the MP5K. You're not winning that. Habana instead shut down by the shotgun and the MP5K, and a great round by Zero Risk. all off of Bub's roam. The Thunderbird just taking down Fraudwatch off of some misplaced drones and misread assignments upstairs.
And now they switch sides, and this was something I was going to highlight that they're doing that I love. The one round that they were dominant on defense, the real highlight for Fraudwatch, was reading Fireplace, and they're going back there. It was the flawless round that they had to end off to get to overtime. They're going back there. I like the play. You're choosing your strongest defensive site. They could have persisted to say, well, you know, it's typical to go upstairs. It's typical to go upstairs, but they're actually going to go with what is, you know, sometimes seen as the tertiary site. It's their strongest site so far that we've seen. So they need to play in their strengths. And what's positive here, not to jinx or anything, hopefully not, but if Fraudwatch do win this and they attack, at the very least, the strongest site for Zero Risk is gone. They've been pretty good on that defensive hold in the basement. Now they're forcing them to go to one of the other two sites, which gives them a better chance. But they need to win this round.
Yeah, especially with the upstairs control and the upstairs potential that Fraudwatch might be able to gain in that next round. Their upstairs attacks have been pretty solid. Their burn clear and stuff has been pretty good. And Fraudwatch on this site was very good. It came off of Bino's kills on the white stairs. Huge frags coming through from them, and really look at Bino to pivot and hopefully find Fraudwatch another round. It seems like that he is the impact player that they need to explode right now, and if they can keep getting him fed up these kills, then it will look really good. But some late reinforcements and late setups are starting to be possibly a detriment. However, Zero Risk really slow to get to the roof here. I mean, 30 seconds just to even get up here to the rooftop. It takes a little bit of extra time, especially on Cafe, to get up here, but that's a lot of time to be lost. And Bubs, though, able to find a frag on ISO. That's not a player that you want to see going down. I mean, ISO has been pretty impactful in this game, and now Bino is really going to be someone that they're going to have to trust on to get these frags, but shut down by Bubs. A huge shot by them, able to find 2 kills in the round, is really opened it up for the attack. Zero Risk look really great right now and are trying to close it out to send us to map 3.
You can't rely on the same man over and over. Eventually, they're going to fall. They're not invincible. Bino, the aggression does hurt them quite a bit there. Now it's a 3v5. His teammates, he has to rely on them. He can't be the hero every round. So here we have to see some other people play and step up. And Jose is not going to be the one to do so, as Nurox does get that kill onto them. It's Sturdy and Luck in the clutch. Luck has shown themselves to be able to get these kills, but just hasn't been able to actually bring it home, even despite all the efforts that they put in the deficit situations that they found themselves. Here, they've at least helped themselves, but still a 2v4 is not something that you expect them to win. And with so much time left is the hard part. They lost bodies so early. These 2 last defenders are in such a rough spot. It's going to be a miracle if they can pull this off.
Well, Zero Risk has a long time to work this out here, but guess what? Fraudwatch able to get a kill here. The diffuser is going down. Luck is trying to fight this player on the white stairs, but that doesn't matter because guess what? Zalmo has safely planted the bomb and exited the bomb site now. Luck trying to jiggle peek here and find that player on the white stairs, but able to run away. And now the vertical play comes at the detriment to Luck. Monster able to close off that last round. The Buck finding the smoke player through the floor, and that sends us on a map 3. We'll see you guys on Oregon here, and well, to see Oregon, that's gonna be an interesting one for map 3, especially after how seeing Chalet and Cafe, which are maps that play very similar to each other when it comes to wanting some of that vertical control and pressure, stuff like that. Oregon's not a map where you need that vertical control. That's where you can go more horizontal with your pushes and more direct. So I'm curious on how we might see these teams go at it.
Yeah, I think that overall that might favor Fraudwatch based on how they've played. I think the vertical part has actually been hurting them a little bit. I think, again, like I said in the beginning, they're the better gunner team, typically speaking, when it comes just to straight up gunfights. But when it comes to the structure of like just throwing another team off with all the different placements of utility and stuff, that's where it's been kind of rough for Fraudwatch. They just haven't been able to clear out things the way that they'd like to a lot of the times. And again, just opening engagements, relying on one player, really, they can't do that, I don't think, on Oregon. I think it's going to take a little bit more of a team effort here, but we'll see in just a bit. We'll come back after this small break. Stay with us.
close to perfect, but they are yours tonight. You can't rewrite what is inscribed. When all is lost, you will find life. You can't rewrite what is lost, you will find life. If I could slow down the clock, I would. When I'm with you, I just feel so good. Every day, every single night. So for now, let's just take our time. Now that I got you on my side, tell me how you ready for the ride. Here we go, making this the night. So let's just take our time. Hey!
Hey everybody, welcome back to Xenon Gaming Series. We are in the losers bracket round 1, and we have a great matchup between Fraud Watch, and Zero Risk. Pardon me, their fraud match, right? Well, they did have a fraudulent match last week, but this week they're looking a lot better. They do have the map advantage going into the third map, which is Oregon. So that means they have side choice, so they get to choose what side they're starting on. Most likely, that would be the defensive side. Most teams would elect to take defensive first on Oregon. Zero Risk, on the other hand, winning out Cafe just by the edge of their skin. 8-6 there. Great play from them. Bubs really popping off on those last couple rounds on the Thunderbird and the Finka, both healers, but looked really, really amazing. So, going into Oregon West, what do you think we're going to see? What do you think we're going to see here on this map? What team do you think is going to prevail?
Well, I believe I was talking to you about it. I think Fraud Watch might have a favor when it comes to just how linear this map is. It's very straightforward. You get a lot of horizontal pushes, not a lot of vertical play happens. Although still does happen from time to time. Like you might, if you're playing upstairs on defense, you got to watch out for nades from below. That's just how it is, right? But that's about the only vertical you'll see. So that's something to watch out for. I think that with them starting on defense, they could start, with a lot of momentum to begin this map.
Definitely, yeah. I think that Fraudwatch prevails on their gun skill and on their defensive side of things, and that's what we're gonna see here. Fraudwatch starting on the defense. That means Zero Risk will probably have defense should we go to overtime. Which, by the way, in playoffs, overtime is infinite, so that means we could go all night, Wes. Now, I'm sure you're just as excited for that as I am. Infinite overtime is something scary to look ahead towards if we do end up reaching that point because you never know how long it might go, especially on a map like Oregon where those sites you can balance between any of them that you might want to with attack or repick. It's going to make it a lot harder for those defenders to have any sort of advantage. And instead, we're looking at possibly one of these teams going home and one of these teams advancing on in the playoffs in that lower bracket. Thatcher off the board, Finka off the board, Zero Risk electing to ban the operator that Bino has been playing so much these last couple maps, and not a shock at all. I mean, the nades off the board and the Gone 6 off the board, there's really, really big impacts coming through there. And one Mai off the board as well, that's a lot of the burn clear going through. And guess what we don't see? We don't see a Flores ban this time, which means he is up and on the board available.
And you can expect to see mute jammers brought to kind of deny that from coming in and clearing things out too quickly, at least. I mean, there's still ways around it. The mirror going to follow up. That means Cade is on the board. So hatches will be stopped on the defense from being opened up. So you have to take Maverick. It's going to buy time, that's for sure. And then on top of it, you got the Valk still up too. So that's a lot of information and time denial available to the defense. So I think these bans certainly favor them despite the one my ban. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily do you well when it comes to burn, but there's a lot of cheeky corners and angles to hide in, which the attackers have to do a little bit more precarious peeks to try and get to you. And to see them go downstairs isn't really surprising to me whatsoever, considering the bans. I think that with the bans in place, they certainly have an advantage despite no Wamai.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Wamai being off the board is something that's going to be a little bit difficult for the defense, but starting here on basement, look for that Flores pick to potentially come in play. Cade is also on the board, which means those hatches are going to be safely covered up and electrified, which means you cannot use Hibana pellets, you cannot use can opener hard breach charges to open those hatches. Instead, you're going to have to bring the Maverick, which is still a strong operator. You've got nades, you've got that blowtorch, which can do some good damage to those hatches and possibly defenders if you end up down on them. I mean, who doesn't like seeing, maybe a funny kill here or there, you good old Ash Charge kill or the Sledgehammer bonk, but Alex on that Maverick. No Flores on the board, which is a little bit puzzling considering there's not even a mute being brought out by the defense, which Flores could be so strong to help maybe swing the blue take, a construction take late in the round, but instead electing to go for this main stairs-sided roam clear is Zero Risk entering into meeting now.
There's only one roamer that I saw. I believe it was ISO, over here towards the corridor. About to retreat back in stored freezer. Does some damage to Bubs and takes the shot and gets down themselves. So that's where that aggression can be punished. So Bubs is going to get the opening frag here to start things off for Zero Risk. Not a great start for Fraudwatch. Not even a minute in, you've already lost someone.
Bubs starting off really hot, especially continuing off that momentum that he had the last map. And now ISO falling away. Nearly got away with their life, but instead chose to re-peek, and that was a poor choice. Now, these hatches are starting to get opened up, and Zero Risk is making their way as the Maverick here. Alex starts to work on this meeting hatch. You've got the Hibana opening up the freezer and the main hatches, and Nade coming out onto the back stairs from some aggressive pressure from Bino, who's still looking to get here and aggress onto this Yana, and possibly the meeting opening, or the hatch getting open in meeting, which is causing a lot of problems and time delay for this attack to really get underway.
Yeah, that push upstairs is simply to make them more wary, to make them take more time to open up this hatch. Now they should get it here, and there's plenty of time too. So despite all that time being burnt, they have bought enough time. The only problem is there's still that hatch to get cleared in freezer, and that is certainly one they're going to want to open up. You can't leave it locked down Otherwise, they can play in freezer and hold the back lines pretty tightly. They do have some aggression coming through into the laundry area. Jose's going to be the one to aggress there, but Nurox getting that kill on Bino. That's the hero of the last map for them, even though they lost it. The one-man army. Luck getting a refrag onto Bubs, though, does allow them to have some breathing room, but plenty of time for these attackers to still get execute.
Bubs falling definitely shuts down a little bit of the momentum that he has had and the impact of the last couple of rounds on the map. But with about 40 seconds left, this attack is really going to start to compress onto the defense. But Jose able to shut down Nerox, who tries to make their way down the back stairs. It seems like Zero Risk is trying to drop this meeting hatch, but might have to think better of it since they've been gassed out by the smoke right now. Monster is going to elect to go outside, possibly able to think better of it. Alex trying to make a flank work down the back stairs, but this might not work. The defense is in such a great spread out position that they're ready for this attack. They know where all the players are coming from, but maybe they don't. Alex is able to get one out of the kick.
No way!
And Alex is able to line two up, tucks out the smoke, and takes out the last two players in the pillar hallway. Huge kills by Alex and a great last moment decision to flank down the main stairs. Great job by Zero Risk to somehow find the first attacking round.
I can't believe they got away with that. You saw the kid was thinking about peeking it, and then you saw the smoking closet. I think he's like, oh, you got that? Okay, I'll back off. Well, unfortunately, the smoke was not whatsoever ready for it. Gets slapped down, and then while their backs are turned, attention is drawn towards the pillar side. Gets shot in the back. Really good job from Alex with that triple kill to end things off. And clutching out a round where it looked pretty dire. They were in a bad situation on time. They really shouldn't have won. I'm just going to be straightforward about it. They probably should not have won that round, and it came back again on a hero play.
Now imagine this. Imagine if ISO didn't overextend early on in that round. Imagine if he didn't overpeak that sledge player of, I believe it was Bubs. And if he didn't do that, then guess what? It would have been a 4v4 coming to the execute, or I don't exactly remember what the numbers were when it came down to the execute, but it would have been an advantage and an extra body that maybe have been able to watch the main stairs, or they could have dedicated someone to watch the main stairs maybe a little bit more than what they were worried about, because they heard all those players on that backside take. Instead, it flipped to the front side, and it ended up punishing them so much. Bino, though, with an early entry pick onto Alex, shutting them down on the garage door, and Bino now looking to get really aggressive and overextending themselves. It takes down a lot of damage, but shuts down the Maverick, which is huge, especially if Zero Risk was considering going for some sort of addict take. They can no longer do that, and that's a set of nades off the board as well.
Opening kill now going in the other direction, and that's a good thing for Fraud Watch. They've gotten punished, and as you said, that man down early last round could have been a huge difference maker. The other thing to keep in mind, too, is no one was playing in freezer. So it's just another thing about positioning that we've been pretty critical of both teams, really, is the positionings can sometimes be bad. Now, Bino's in a very dangerous position because that's a soft wall. So if they drone him, they could get a wall bang, easy kill here, instant evened up. Now, the peaks from Sturdy is going to maybe try and bait this player to push out, and it could be good teamwork coming through for Fraud Watch.
You have the man advantage, Fraud Watch. Don't give it away. Don't let Zero Risk start to pull this round back brick by brick, piece by piece. You need to just stay passive, waste a little bit more time, sure, but get back to the bomb site and hold that, because that is what's most important. That is your friend. That is most valuable to you, as Bubs and Monster, both the vertical players, really trying to make their way into the Z Hall. Instead, Sturdy able to get a frag on the Bubs, and now you see Bino evacuate. You also see the Jaeger start to make their way out into security and hide away there. This is great play by Fraud Watch to just slowly whittle down the attackers as finally the wall starts to get opened up.
What great team play. That's what I was talking about. One's baiting the other one. I thought Sturdy would actually bait the player to push in and to go past, but then since Bino was the one droned out, they are the one being the bait. And then, of course, Sturdy gets the call. They peek out. They get the kill as they're focused on the meeting area. Now it's a 3v5, only a minute remaining. Not a lot to do here. They have plenty of utility to start clearing things up, but Jose's going to shut down Alzomo, and that's going to allow them now to even have a further advantage. The push in, duo pushing as well. Monster getting Jose. They have control, a little bit of sight, and the shotgun of smoke is going to shut down one. Sturdy finishes the other, and that is going to be all even on the round count.
All evened up indeed. Great defense by the side of Fraud Watch, just eliminating just enough bodies. Getting that opening pick early was Bino, and that really set them up for success, finding one more on the downstairs clear. And then falling back to the bomb site, doing just as what I was saying, Wes, and it was a great play by Zero Risk, or by Fraud Watch rather, just to fall back, play the time. Zero Risk tried to explode onto the bomb site, maybe with some of the audio that breach getting up, but it just wasn't enough. They were cut down one by one, and eventually the refrags just played out into the favor of Fraudwatch. A great round from them as they elect to go back to their home in the basement.
It's the site they tried first, so you'd think that this is the site they feel most confident in. Yet the results, it was still kind of close, I'll give them that, but the results look pretty convincing upstairs, so it's interesting to see that that was actually their second choice. Either way, though, they have a chance to go again, and maybe this time, you know, not be too aggressive, lose the body early for free. That was within the first minute, keep in mind, which gives so much time to hold an advantage for the attackers. So Zero Risk going to be hoping that they can capitalize on an opening kill yet again. On the other side, like you mentioned, let's see them peel back a little bit more. Let's see them not re-peek as often. Yes, you can aggress, you can burn that time. But with that Cade and everything, we saw it did buy a decent amount of time, and then on top of it, you can aggress without being too aggressive. We saw Bino on the big tower stairs. He didn't get picked there. He just kept harassing them.
Well, one thing I've definitely seen is that Fraudwatch seems, or I'm sorry, Zero Risk rather, seems to struggle on their late round executes. And if Fraudwatch is able to take note of this, then they're going to play into that more, because I've seen Zero Risk just struggle to push into it, not sure what each other are holding, and they're really busy just trying to sprint in and get as much ground into the bomb site before actually taking these heads-up gunfights. And that's been very negative for them. And if Fraudwatch are able to read into this sort of detraction, this problem that Zero seem to be having from what I've noted on the last couple maps, then it might just be a huge problem. Bino is also trying to be a real pain in the rear and might actually swing out onto the sledge and catch Bubs off guard. He does just so, and now finds himself all the way into the small tower with no attackers there to try to play the refrag. No one in sight, and Bino is able to sit upstairs on the first floor comfortably, as now Zero Risk is finally starting to make a little bit of progress in the building here on the top floor.
Now it creates a conundrum for them. Do they have to hunt down this player? That's so much time wasted. Even if they get the kill on Bino over here in small tower, he's drawing them far away from sight. They have to respect that, or he has that X factor coming in later on. If they don't clear him up, he can come back and kill him. And they just misdroned him. So this is huge for Bino. Buying time, and then also if he does live on top of buying time here, it's even more of a win for Fraudwatch.
Bino is a ghost and has hidden themselves away in small tower. Zero Risk has no idea of the location of the Thunderbird, and that is going to be what changes this run. ISO here getting really aggressive on Alex, who is playing very, very aggressive position on the map, but Bino now finally able to punish out Monster, looking to kill Alex as well, but no, Alex with the refrag, great job by them, and now trying to find another body, but no, not able to do so. Instead, electing for the burn and the clear here onto this hallway shield, but it's not found out. The nade does not find any kills, just an ADS to call for its name, and another nade comes through, but it gets zapped up by the ADS in the hallway, which allows that shield to stay up. Neurox, so great play by them to be able to get that shield gone, and with about 30 seconds left, there's not a lot of hatches open, not a lot of control for Zero Risk to really start to make their entry. They're still gassed out here by the smoke, Toxic Babe, and that's causing a big issue. Alex, though, able to find a frag on his Dirty, and that's really opened it up. Jose, though, immediate refrag onto the Hardbreacher, who has dropped Diffuser in Freezer. All of a sudden, the Diffuser is gone and away from the attackers, and if the defenders just realize this, they don't need to peek because there's no chance of a plant going down. Instead, Jose is going to peek right to Nerox, who tries to sprint in, but with no prevail. Jose finishing off for their third kill of the round with the revolver, pulling it out, just waiting for that last push in, and a great little jiggle peek from them, showing off the black ice of the revolver, and another round for Fraudwatch.
Nice round. Fraudwatch, like we mentioned, though, it was on the back of Bino, really. Going out, getting that opening kill, buying time, hiding, not getting found out, finds a second kill with only a minute remaining. So there might be some small complaints you could have about that. Maybe could have played the time slightly better, but it doesn't matter. The impact was there. The time was bought. The 2 kills can't be understated. And that is really what you want from the roam. And it's something that on the other side, Zero Risk, they have been lacking a little bit. If you remember in the first map, even Monster getting caught out a couple times playing the Thorn over in the car garage. That is something that we have seen them struggle with, is having a good roam game. They did a little bit better last map, but this is a map where, again, there are a lot of cutoffs. There's a lot of soft walls, not floors, walls, plenty of soft walls to get cut off. So they need to play the roam game very conservatively and with a lot of map knowledge. And that seems to be what Bino's striving at right now.
Yeah, Bino just playing an excellent roam right there, and not being drowned out was probably the biggest demise to Zero Risk. Instead, they might have been able to actually make something happen with that push, but the Maverick didn't even have time to go and open up that freezer hatch or the meeting hatch, and that's what really slowed them down. And being forced to try to walk through doorways and hallways just isn't the play, especially on a map like Oregon, where you just have to have other ways of entering the site. That is not available. Instead, it ends up putting them back on the back leg, but ISO putting his own team on the back leg as they have fallen now twice early on in a round, and the opening pick goes to Zero Risk.
Yeah, that's not ideal. We've seen this a couple times, and that's a player in your attic, right? That's someone who needs to hold out longer than this. This is a position that you cannot give up early, because now they have more access towards getting that control above, and once they have that control above, they can get that plant down. All they need to do is open the wall, and opening that wall is really not that difficult. It's something you expect. It's like CC wall on Clubhouse. You expect it to get opened up eventually. Exactly what I'm expecting here. Now that nade almost does catch Jose, just barely escaping in time. The quick peeks are not working out either. Almost getting caught off guard. The nade's gonna net him. He's not away in time. Bino with the C4 trying to play hero again. He does get that kill onto Bubs, but it's not the kill you want. Yeah, it's some soft destruction gone, but they still have the hard breach that they need to get all of the floor control that they need.
Well, these nades are being served up in the kitchen a little bit too raw, but no, it's not raw as Monster's aim going huge here, killing out Bino. Nice and cooked up onto the head there, and finding another player at the attic while finally getting opened up by the attack here, but it's just down to two defenders. Surdy and Luck, who's already been dropped down to 50 HP, is trying to hold on to the kitchen bomb site instead. Now, both players have returned their way to the bomb site. But look at the intel. Look at the drones. Great plays by Zero Risk. They now know that they have hatch control. They're going to play off of just that. Sturdy, though, with a huge aggressive push. Able to take down two. Might be able to find that last hard breach. Swings with the pistol, but not able to find the kill. But it puts Luck into a position where they might be able to just win this. No C4 available, but that SMG-11 in play. One of these attackers are going to have to go for the plants, which will allow for a 1v1 scenario to take place, but there is the Osa shield which has been planted. But is it a distraction? Does Luck know that the diffuser is trying to be planted in the kitchen? Instead, now Zero Risk looking to go for the kill here, not electing to plant the bomb. Ozomo finally gets back to typing away on that case, and Luck trying to make a quick rotation over to security, but it's barricaded off, which is just only going to alert the attackers of his position even further. Luck able to finish off the final player in a, Luck finished off by the Osa, rather, and a great round by Fraudwatch. Or Zero Risk. Oh my goodness.
It's rough sometimes, you know. The 2v2 there, great job from Sturdy, but also, why peek with the pistol? You had time. You could have just gone back into cover. Your teammate could have covered the push over and crossing the breach if you had asked them to. It was worth the risk. I know you had the position of one of the players known, but you also could have isolated them after reloading. Like, they're not going to be able to relocate very far unless you can hear that as well. Sound cue. So overall, I didn't like the pistol swing after getting the double because you had just taken all that momentum you had gained, putting yourselves into a 2v2, and then just kind of threw it away right afterwards. Because your teammate has no utility either. It's not like there's a smoke. It's a C4-less mute. So he was really in a precarious situation as soon as his teammate up front was killed. They could have maybe played cross angles. He maybe even could have backed away in Green Hall and actually escaped with their life and then played back of sight, gone upstairs, got on the hatch of attic. Either way, it's all hindsight. They might be able to, go back there, try again if one of these other sites doesn't work out and they feel like it. But more often than not, you're not going to necessarily see that. They get to go back upstairs to the site that they had won pretty dominantly. Again, though, a lot of these plays, a lot of these rounds that they win come on the back of Bino.
Oh, Bino. Big impact in the game, but one thing I want to talk about is ISO losing their life twice early. Has lost 2 rounds for Fraudwatch. I don't want to say it's their fault entirely, but it definitely is netting up to be the opening pick is going to get you the round win. And Jose is looking to get really aggressive here. Needs to stay away from these grenades, which may come through from Alzomo, who does have that potential. The Maverick is looking to cook a grenade now onto the player in trophy. If Jose is able to read this out, does not, and it ends up netting a kill for them. Jose goes down early, and again, the opening frag goes to 0 risk, which just puts them in a great advantage here as they start to work down stairs on the white side of things and try to get some more of these depth charge nades from below.
Yeah, the nade's coming out, and Jose, 2 rounds in a row now, being caught with a grenade in the face. So it's not something that is ideal whatsoever. They need to learn not to play in doorways without an ADS. Or if you're going to, you need to back away quickly after revealing yourself. They're not doing that. They're giving them the kill kind of for free, honestly. They're giving them the information. All they have to do is capitalize on it. Another nade kill onto Luck this time. So, again, they're not respecting the utility that 0 risk is able to bring with all these nades on the board. They need to respect it a little bit more. And with the Wamai dead, or a band away, you have to rely on those ADSs. Now, Bino does get a kill, and ISO Bulin bringing it back a little bit as well. So they're trying to do all they can. ISO with that flank up, also finding another. Bino is down, but could get helped up. One attacker is down, so it is essentially a 1v1 between Sturdy and Alex, the player. Who's going to come out on top? The eyes give away the position of Mr. Alex, the player, but he has to try and go out and win this gunfight. There's no utility to be used on either side. Neither player is giving an inch. They're both quick peeking, and there it is. Mr. Alex player comes out on top. Sturdy falling. Carbine, not the best weapon anymore. It's shown here.
556 XL proves its dominance and a great play by Alex to just bring that back. And imagine, Wes, if that kid was alive and didn't strive away too far from the site in the nade. You have 5 bodies alive, and you could have held that bomb site, because guess what? You would have had a 2v1 at the end instead of a 1v1, or it wouldn't have even let the attack push upstairs. Who knows what could have happened if that extra body was alive? But again, it just seems to be a problem for FraudWatch for overextending, overthrowing your body right now. Jose, you're the top frag as of this moment for FraudWatch. You cannot lose your life away like that. And if you continue to do so, it's going to cause more and more problems for your team. So far, we've seen the story was that the opening frag gets you a round win, and that just might keep continuing through this map on Oregon.
And that's a really interesting point, because we had actually brought that up at the beginning of this match before it even started on map 1. We had mentioned how, at least I had highlighted even, right? I said, 0 risk, they're really good at outputting kills. But FraudWatch has more 1vx's, so, you know, one has the clutch of being down, they can still win rounds, but the other one's really good at getting a man advantage early. And what you're showing here with these stats is that getting that opening kill has shown to be the dominant factor. And that's something that FraudWatch aren't very good at going into this with the regular season players that they had. Obviously, there's Bino now, so it's a little different. But still, despite that, even now, we've seen their opening kills, it hasn't been really positive for them. And this is Oregon, which it's pretty even, but it's still technically defender-sided, right? So we might see a rush strat here, actually, through blue, though. So we'll see. Maybe this is where they get the opening pick, if they can read into this.
Oh, Flores is on the board, and here goes the plan here. The Osa shield gets put down. Alzoma rushing in deep on the elbow. But the C4 comes through. Alex able to get a frag on Nabino. That's one of the major fraggers shut down. Sturdy, though, refrag. Bubs falling down. The Lion goes down. No more flashes. 4 calls to come through. Sturdy with a second. Great kill. Neurarx with the flank from the main stairs. Jose goes down as well. The Maverick finally gets shut down, but Sturdy is going huge this round for 3. 4 for Sturdy. All of a sudden looking to shut it down, but the Yada Neurarx comes back through main, and now just has to win a 1v1 to try to put their team up 4 rounds on this attack. Instead, swings onto the hallway, and Luck clutches out the round. FraudWatch, I don't know how you guys managed to pull that off, but amazing shots from Sturdy really set up Luck to just close it out to the final kill of the round. A huge mistake from 0 risk, nearly able to get it down, but just not quite able to get that Jaeger, or get past that Jaeger, and it ended up just being their demise.
I feel bad for Sturdy. That's so close to getting the ace, too, you know? And after they had lost the 1v1 at the end of the last round, you feel like, oh, finally, this gun is clicking for me, but they had to rely on their teammate of Luck, who were lucky enough was able to come out with the win there, and they able to get the even round count, which in Oregon is not uncommon, right? This is pretty normal. And between these two teams, each winning a map apiece, we see them coming in. They haven't had the best of luck in the upper bracket, so now they're trying to get their last chance here to continue on in playoffs. And keeping it even here on map 3 seems like everything that we'd want and more.
Well, a 3-3 split indeed, and if it continues to pile up this way, we might just propel ourselves into overtime, which again, is infinite. So one of these teams needs to try to step in front of the other, and currently Zero Risk, being on the defensive side, should have that advantage. They elect to go downstairs as well, so both teams clearly choosing the bottom floor bomb site over the top. And look at this defense. This is not your typical Organ bunker setup. They have a full sprinting rotation and elbow, but they've reinforced every single tarp wall, as well as the E-box wall, or as well as that single wall that looks toward the tower stairs. I'm interested on this setup because it eliminates angles for the defenders, but Bubs is able to take down Jose. Either Bubs was able to sneak past a cut-off drone, or Jose just simply ran in past a drone, and without the information, FraudWatch lose a player off the bat immediately. Bubs with a huge opening frag there, and if they just start to fall back to site, then they're immediately going to have the advantage when it comes to execute time.
You know, if it continues like this, I'm having G2 Empire flashbacks, unlimited overtime. I don't know if I want to go like 20-something rounds, you know, that'd be kind of rough on my throat, but we'll see. Maybe they'll bring us there, they'll drag us over that line. But right now, they have the man advantage on the side of Zero Risk. That defender side at opening kill has been pretty strong when they've gotten it, as we've mentioned a few times now. And well, at least the Cade isn't on this hatch where the Hibana is of luck, so they can try and get this opened up. There is no Cade, so that means all hatches are actually going to be available. That's interesting. Why would they not bring Cade?
They brought up Bandit instead, so I'm not sure.
What the heck? That's so strange. I'm just going to be honest. It's going to allow them to open these hatches up so fast. The opening kill's great, but now they have like a lot of time saved by not having a Cade.
Definitely, yeah. No Cade on the board is a puzzling one, but this defensive setup is not your typical one to see. I mean, all the freezer walls are open. Oh, Bubs with a huge swing on a Beano, who had a nade in their hand, is immediately shut down, and a great frag by them. ISO now looking to try to trade out their teammate, but Bubs for 3 huge headshots, taking down each player of FraudWatch one by one. Stop peeking the man. He's on fire right now, carrying over that momentum from Cafe, looking to get aggressive and find a fourth. An impact they come through, and the swing, but not able to close out onto Sturdy with that LMG starting to thrive again on Zofia here, just as they were on Chalet. But will they be able to bring it back enough to shut down all the rest of the players of Zero Risk? Alzoma still has 3 gas grenades in their pocket and could potentially slow down this attack. Sturdy and Luck, just the last 2 players remain. A little bit of Yuto sure for Luck, but a C4 comes through, able to get shot out from midair though. Great shots by Luck. He's been practicing the aim lag, C4 arc training for sure. Sturdy does get flashed by their own teammate, which is coming at a detriment, and Alex now has some good angles. A lot of this util clear has not been dealt with by the attack, and you see it's starting to bite them in the rear. Luck now trying to find the player, does not find them, instead spinning around in the closet, not sure where they're getting swung from exactly, and shut down is FraudWatch on their first attack round. Zero Risk with a great but very odd defense.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. Hey, it worked out, whatever. Kind of on the back of being gifted for Zero Risk. They were gifted. FraudWatch just, I do think that he walked in the opening kill Bubs got. I think that was just a walk in without drones, because how do you not drone the dining area? How's that not drone? He's in the doorway dining right next to small tower. That's a big miss. And someone should just be staying on cams while your players enter the building anyway, just in case someone aggresses forward. That's pretty normal. The other thing too is that drop down from Beano was like not the play. Clearly, they just got peeked and slammed as they dropped with the nade in their hand. It wasn't cooked enough. Had it been like perfectly timed, maybe it would have worked, but it wasn't. And then on top of it, another player peeking bottom main onto Bubs. Again, gets slammed. They just fed him so many kind of free kills. I'm just going to be straight about it. That was just not the play. So for FraudWatch, again, this is something we started on Cafe too. They had rough attacks, and it's not looking much better here.
Well, definitely not looking good for FraudWatch. I mean, a struggle to say the least, but they've been so far behind on the opening category. Jose did get shut down early on for the 2nd time in a row, and that's starting to slow down their momentum that I would say that they really have carried. Sure, they struggled a little bit on Cafe, but Alex has been showing up on the scoreboard huge for their team, and that's exactly what Zero Risk needs. They need those frags. They need that power coming through. Monster on the Cade here, looking to get that claw electrified, and a good claw to shut down the wall, as well as potentially impact trick holes being made to see into Classer, but there's no impacts on the side of Zero Risk being brought up, so that is not a potential. Instead, probably just some angles trying to shut down any players that consider peeking that, but Bino is going to nade through the game's window and able to get that claw off right off the bat, so that locked it up with this wall.
That's what's hard. Again, this is another one of those walls you just expect to get opened up, and see plenty of them. And this will be one here. Now, Sturdy, excuse me, getting a kill onto Nurox allows the opening kill now to go in favor of Fraudwatch. And again, something to watch out for. Statistically, that's been massive. So this could be the round, right, to bounce back and forth we go. So that opening kill, massive, but they still have work to do. Not even halfway through this round. They got the wall opened up. They got that opening kill. Now where are they going to aggress from? They can't just continue to stay in the same spot. They need some cross angles. And for him to escape there, again, comes to the fact that no one is holding cross angles. And that was just really lucky.
Yeah, so Monster just made a death run across the bomb site and found their way back to the top white stairs, which is a pivotal position to hold here, especially for this execute that's going to come through, because most likely you're going to see Luck try to run deep, but Bubs is looking to get a C4 kill potentially onto Luck. If a camera call comes out from the Valkyrie, it might net a frag, and indeed it does. Luck goes down. That's the man with the case in hand. Instead, Sturdy able to get a refrag onto Bubs, the second frag of the round for Sturdy, who's 12-6, really kind of been silently working their way up there in the scoreboard. I mean, all the way up at the top for their team. Jose now with the case in hand and trying to find their way up. But Sturdy finds the feet of Monster on the top of white stairs and is now on for 3 themselves. Already had a big round on the Jaeger earlier on. Ozomo is trying to slow down the attack from coming in, but guess who's found their way all the way deep sight? Bino as well, getting one from the window. ISO cleaning up the last player, Alex, and all 3 entry players from the side of Fraudwatch able to net a round for Fraudwatch.
Oh, it's so much cleaner from Fraudwatch compared to that first round. It's like night and day differences. You have to wonder why that happens. Why is it so different? Here, you get good drone work. They catch the player down below after 1 kill from the C4. Instantly, Sturdy's there to get the refrag. They also give the comms. We need to push from other directions. Well, I'll push up white stairs. We'll get that one. So just working together, having that coordination, getting the refrags, getting the opening kill, of course, as we mentioned, hugely massive. So everything going well for them in that round. So that's the difference, though. Like, why is that happening? And then on another round, you're running in with like lack of drone work, just peeking into angles, getting slammed down. Like, this team is so has such a dichotomy in the 2 different ways that we see them either in a really good light or a really bad.
It's incredible to me. I mean, it's just really all about the first pick. It's just the story to tell. There's nothing else about it, really. In the opening pick, it seems like that player that gets that opening pick ends up just going huge that round. Like, every time you get that kill, you just seem to go huge. We saw Sturdy go huge that last one off the opening pick. Bubs a couple rounds ago on the freezer.
Like the Mario Kart star.
Get out Jose. I mean, seriously, you get that opening kill, and all of a sudden it's your round to go off. So maybe we'll see Alzomo get that or Monster. Or on the other side, ISO really looking a little quiet for their team after having a really strong map 1 of Chalet. If ISO is able to get that opening kill, it might propel Fraudwatch to another round.
Playing on stairs, that might have been a missed drone as well. We've seen a couple of those now, and luckily they don't seem to be aggressing on the front door anyway, so it's not the end of the world. It can still be re-droned. They need to get some eyes into armory areas. They like to take that. They did it last time. Looks like they're going for a very similar take here, and if someone can get the drone on him, get into armory, and then someone's on main stairs, like that could be the lockdown. And there it is. Bino gets the kill onto Bubs, so that's the player we were a little worried about. They re-droned.
So it's Bino's round.
Exactly. Now Bino's going to pop off, right? That's just how it has to happen.
Well, that's been the story of the game so far, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I mean, Bino definitely has been a player that's been very, very huge in the game. Bubs as well has been very impactful. And now Monster falls because they're stuck in the corner to the nade instead of electing to run away. It rolled perfectly, a magnet basically of that grenade going straight into the corner and sucks up Monster into the vortex that he is. Now, minute 40 left. Big advantage for Fraudwatch, and Sturdy actually able to get a frag as well. Alzamo cut down, and now it's just left down to the Jaeger and the Mute all alone on the bomb site here, with still a lot of time left.
Positions, they've at least locked out this side, the west side of the bomb site, but wall's going to be opened up. They're going to have still only 2 bodies to hold all the different angles that could be opened. If they go for a trade situation here and they attack this body up, certainly do a lot of damage to get what they need. Now, the Mutant has also used their C4, so there's no destructive capabilities or no explosive kills that can come through, so they have to peek to get the kills onto these attackers, and that could be exactly what the attackers want. Just let them peek into you. You hold the angles as long as you can get someone inside to get the plant down. You have a minute, too. Plenty of time. Might even be seeing someone go for the run up white stairs here, and I think that's exactly what we're going to see. So time fading away a little bit, but they're just getting into the right positions to get this execute done.
Really good setup from Fraudwatch, and Sturdy is trying to win out this duel onto the Jaeger. Does so beautifully, and Luck able to win out their frag onto on their entry, trying to wake their way inside. Shuts down the final player, and had a good shot from the Thermite there. And a great round by Fraudwatch. I mean, again, opening pick gets you the round. That's just the story that it tells. Bino may not have had a crazy impactful round, but it doesn't matter because guess what? He got the first pick, and that was the impact that was needed because clearly that is propelling Fraudwatch to that round win. Now, one more round, Fraudwatch will find themselves onto match point, but Zero Risk still has this basement bomb site. And after their funky defense they ran last time, if Fraudwatch isn't able to figure out some of the ways they might be able to clean up on it, then it still might net Zero Risk another round and bring us back even.
I think if Zero Risk get this, it's an overtime match. I'm feeling it. I think we go there. Now this time they're actually bringing the Cade too, so that's a lot better. You know that it makes it like last time they won. Don't get me wrong, but it was on the back of some opening kills and Bubs being fed a bit. This I think strategically just makes way more sense. Bringing that bandit last time allowed all those hatches to get opened up. Like the opening kills bought you a little bit of time, but because you didn't have Cade, they were able to open those hatches like halfway through the round, despite the fact that it should have been Maverick. It should have been at least a minute at best remaining for the attackers. That's a lot better situation. That's 30 seconds difference, which is massive in a game that only has a 3-minute round. So something to keep an eye on. This, if they can pair this with some good roam without losing bodies, maybe even getting that opening pick, it could net them that round that they so desperately need.
Definitely a round needed here by Zero Risk. They need to find themselves on this basement attack, or defense rather, because their other sides haven't been too incredible. We don't know what they have in the pocket for meeting, but we do know that they do have Bubs here. But Bubs gets cut out from ISO, who makes a silent entry into the front door, and a great opening kill from them immediately shuts down the Azami, who ran a tear through Fraudwatch last time we were here on this bomb site, and now it's completely changed the fate of this round potentially, as Fraudwatch has found off their opening pick.
Where is he going? Like, go down freezer stairs. There's such a risk to going main lobby with no one holding it. The cam was shot. I saw it. So no one's on cams to call out, hey, that's the shot. Someone could potentially be there. It's, again, just one of those things where the team play isn't there. And it's something we criticize from map 1 all the way to now for Zero Risk. The team play just hasn't been there. And in this matchup, especially on this last map where opening kills are king, you're going to need as much help as you can get. And now they are in a deficit, and they're going to start opening up these hatches, opening up the lines of sight. And if your teammates get too aggressive here, you might even get in a worse deficit.
Well, Alex is getting really aggressive, and ISO now finding their second kill of the round after cutting down Bubs. Now cuts down Alex. The two top fraggers of Zero Risk are down, which means some of these players have to step up. Narox, one of those names that really has been a gun to listen for on the side of Zero Risk, but this map of Oregon has not found their stride. Instead, struggling a little bit there on the Jaeger, definitely on the attack as well on the Yana, and not as good as we see before. But Osamo is going to kick it off for their side of things, shutting down Sturdy, who's been on a tear this map, 15-7. Great job so far by them, but no longer going to be an impact in this round. Rather, Bino might have to step up and make an impact this round, as they're starting to look to make an entry down the tower stairs. But again, look at how much utility is still up of the defenders. They've elected to run away from this, as the attackers are now starting to find their way finally down the stairs, but at what cost? There's so much time that's been wasted out currently by this defense. They're getting set up for this attack, but they're unsure of what to do, electing to rotate for this freezer main take. A second, each player doubled up with each other, trying to work together as a team. But if Monster wins out these gunfights, which he wins one, if they're able to find a second, which they do, this might be huge. Looking for a third, Monster for 3. ISO finds their way into the closet area, but is it too late in supply? No diffuser in hand, looking for the last couple players, but it just might not happen. Monster seems to have come in so much clutch for their team. ISO on a quad kill, but not able to find the last player. Too much time taken out by Fraudwatch, and Zero Risk win another round that they were on the back foot of.
You know, clutching victory from the jaws of defeat is right there. That's what that was. Also, I didn't say anything because we're casting, obviously, but like the part of me inside just watching this as like a fan was like, I wanted to scream when I saw Sturdy push on Laundry. There's no one in freezer. There's no one on backstairs. There's no one on hatches because they're opening them. Why? Why are you pushing that by yourself? There's no refrag, there's no cross angles, there's no benefit at all to pushing Laundry there. And guess what? You think you're in a good position. You're up 2-man count. Okay, we got 5v3. This is good. I can afford this. No, you can't. You're dead. What happens? Your teammates all fall to one dude in freezer who, unfortunately, gets out like a quad kill against your team, which means that he killed you too. So you think you get complacent. I think that's what happens. These players get complacent. And now they've given a huge opportunity for Zero Risk to at least get to overtime, if not win the map.
Definitely indeed. Fraud Watch last week, we saw them reach infinite overtime against Team Valence, but they have unfortunately lost in infinite overtime. So far, not so good for them. Zero Risk, on the other hand, didn't even make it there. Actually hadn't won a map, but did this week, and so that's really good for them, considering we're on the third map, real close, tied up with each other right now. One of these teams just needs to find a leg up on the other to win. We finally saw the case of the opening pick does not go to the team that wins the round. Instead, a huge play by Monster to pick up 3 kills on the Cade there. And honestly, if the continuous hero plays keep happening like that, I'm not sure how long Zero Risk is going to be able to keep up with those hero plays. But same with Fraud Watch, because they've had a couple hero moments themselves. And if that's not able to be kept up by either team, it may just fall out of plan. An aggressive peek here onto the attic is already occurring. Bubs here, a player that's very, very impactful for Zero Risk, has now put themselves in a precarious position who might not be able to get away, or just might be able to make a huge impact on the round should they sit here and not be found out.
It certainly could happen. I mean, the electric abilities on this wall, despite with the Maverick, they can't run through that. That would be destroyed. And there it is. They at least get rid of it, so now they can drone through it, potentially, if the hole's big enough to find this player. And they could isolate him. You know, someone get on the backside, get on that window, could certainly isolate this player, and especially if they go for a backside push as well. So something to watch out for, but they're not going for it just yet. Here comes the C4, I believe, of Monster. He's going to be able to let that one rip and should get rid of it if it's not in time. Wow, Luck able to then capitalize on the wall being opened up onto Monster. Bub still has potential to play Heartbreaker here in this position if they don't clear him out.
The C4 does not come through in time, and it ends up actually costing Monster their life. The save here of last round is not available this time, but instead Bubs and Alzomo both finding a frag. Alzomo to a really aggressive swing here with the gas popping off. Takes out the player in the green hallway, and the case has gone down. Alzomo still looking to play really aggressive here, and now all of a sudden the Maverick is taken here, swinging the Osa shield. No refrag comes through, but yes, it does. Alex able to tap down ISO, even though they do take down the smoke player. Now Sturdy and Bino left together in a 2v3, trying to find their way into the kitchen area, but they're ready for it. Alex trying with the fight, but no, Sturdy has the better hand up on the gun. Now trying to get this plant down on island. Bubs, though, with upstairs control, might be able to find this last couple players that are in here if they're not able to peek. But Sturdy needs to find a safe place to plant. I'm not sure if they know what's going on here. Bino, with good coverage, is going to allow this diffuser to go down, but will it? Yes, it does. Nirox with a wallbang kill, able to take down the Zofia. The planter has gone down. The diffuser is down. There's about 30 seconds left for Nirox to make a huge play here. Bino on just 1, maybe 2 bullets to take them down here. Both in a 1v1 here. About 20 seconds remain for Nirox to have a chance in the diffuser. Bino with an aggressive peek here, trying to shut down the Jaeger from swinging in and taking this challenge. They're both trying to send themselves to the next round. Bino does it, takes down Nirox. A great job from the attack to explode in the kitchen. Great coverage from Bino, and the hero of Fraud Watch, rather, able to net themselves around. Great job, Bino.
Putting him on map and match point. Who else could it be but Bino, right? The man of the hour has had so many opening picks, has had so many multi-kill rounds, just trying to carry this team. And it came on the back of a round that was a little scuffed because Had Monkey thrown that C4 a little earlier, that stops that hard breach. Takes a little bit more time. Maybe even someone else can come up and impact. You know, who knows? To reposition after that C4 is thrown out. But because the wall gets opened up and they get the opening death, it sets their team up in a negative situation, and they're not able to recover from it. They're going for it again, though. They've realized upstairs has been a horror show. This was a lot closer on this bomb site, so it makes sense looking at what has happened to go to the site. But at the same time, you have to wonder maybe they could have just played upstairs slightly better. I don't know. Either way, this is what they're opting for, and it's their last chance. If Zeros can't win here, it's going to be Fraud Watch. They win 2-0 in the map count, or 2-1, excuse me, in the map count. They're going to move on, and Zeros' playoff run will end here. So, opening kills. They're very valuable, to say the least. They need it here.
Zero Risk have nothing to lose here. This is where you need to pull anything out that you know that you can do. They're electing to go back to Meeting Kitchen. They feel like they can hold it, and they nearly did, but a little bit of aggressive play ended up being costly to them. Bubs trying to get this bulletproof camera down, but not able to do so. A really big kitchen, or rather, kids extension into that dorm area, and that is quite an open wall there to see. It seems like Zero Risk electing to do the same sort of defensive hold, but as well, Fraud Watch, we can do the same style attack. They're ready for this castle to potentially be on this position here out of an aggressive spot in Attic, and now trying to find themselves the way back. A lot of times already expelled off the clock here, and Zero Risk need to try to get some of these picks.
Africa's just waiting for Sturdy, I guess, was the one, but someone to come up and support them. Had they made that hole a little earlier, or that line in this case, could have maybe caught the castle looking the other way. They were at the other end of the attic, and now they're in that same position as last time. Didn't end up really mattering, of course, but still, nonetheless, it is something to be aware of. And there it is, Bubs getting that opening pick. So are we going to overtime? Is that what that means? I guess we'll find out in a few seconds here, but they're still going to go for this wall. They still have the nade in pocket. They can certainly get this wall opened up, but they're going to need a little help because Bubs upstairs is still going to be a problem if they don't get rid of him.
Not able to spot out with the 2x scope, and this Maverick hole is really starting to punish the attack. Actually, Bub's able to find a second now. The Maverick falls down, and this is Bub's round. Currently trying to send his team to overtime, and it looks like they might just do that. The Cave Claw has not fallen off the wall yet, and instead, Bub's still with great intel, now forcing Fraud Watch to rotate potentially all the way to the front side and try to hit a quick take onto the bomb site. But guess who's waiting there nice and close to the split location? It's Nirox, the Jaeger, inside a split, and Bino is not ready for it. Nirox able to get a kill here. Two players try to swing into the split and get the rebreak. A really aggressive take taking place, but Nirox able to get a kill on Jose, and it's all down to Lucky to 1v5. Huge hatch control everywhere, and Nirox able to shut down the final player, and we're going to overtime once again.
Okay, well, flawless round. Cap it off to get us there. So a really good job from Zero Risk. But again, what was that Maverick line? You just cost your team a body and then two, really, because then that player isn't cleared out. I have to wonder, because oftentimes in pro play, you'll see them push the other side. And yes, they were extended over there, but even the first time they weren't, right? Like they just aren't at all changing up the game plan. They didn't push the other side. They went for the exact same push. They just saw it, man. Like, come on, please adapt a little bit, because if they're going to do the same thing, they're going to have counter strats. They're going to know exactly what to expect and then play off of it. And then this time, they even made a mistake by making an extra Maverick line, which really cost them. That's the opening kill right there. Bam. Done and dusted. Bubs gets that kill for free because the Maverick gave it to him. Now, here, though, we have seen pretty split halves, so you can't really say anyone has an advantage going into overtime.
Advantage in overtime indeed, but it doesn't matter the advantage because you got to win by 2, and so far we haven't seen a team up by 2 in quite a while. I think all the way back to round 3 where we were, or round 6 where we were at 3-3 split. I don't remember exactly how the map started up, but maybe even a team hasn't led by 2 on this map so far. It's just been back and forth, each team biting tooth and nail for every round they can get, and right now we're in infinite overtime, fighting for your playoff spot, fighting for the last chance in this league to get a bite of that $800 prize pool of what is it? 500 for first place, 300 for second, and 100 for third. You want a piece of that. You got to win right now just to propel yourself to the next round of this lower bracket. And Nirox is looking to get aggressive, but Bino able to win out the fight. The Warden in Meeting able to early pick again. the opening pick seems to just take the round, and that's exactly what we're going to see here. Bino, an aggressive pick, looking to start to shut down this map, and he doesn't want to go any further than we want to either. So, Bino starting off is great.
What are you talking about? This is like Empire G2. We're going 20-something rounds. Strap in. Here we go. You know, all those prizes for the different placements, but you know what's priceless? Overtime with ThatBattery. The man, the myth, the legend. He's bringing it for us. And here we go. So Maverick getting the hatch opened up. They have the man advantage. They still have plenty of time to work with here. ISO, though, has the C4 in pocket. Could go for a little bit of mischief mayhem. Get the kill here. Give them an even bigger advantage. So far, he's playing it patient. There it is. C4 coming out. Doesn't go through the bars, though.
C4 does not come through. I was almost still able to stay alive and waste a little bit of util. Great job on the Maverick to get open the hatch as well. And Zero Risk now need to try to find their way into the bomb site. Bino has taken a lot of damage just on a sliver of HP left, but the damage from him has been done considering they got the opening frag. Bubs, though, are looking for the Valkyrie intel, which is available. ISO has those black eye cameras somewhere around the bomb site, and that's something to be concerned about. Jose now looking to get aggressive, shooting a couple drones, just trying to slow down the intel coming in from Zero Risk. Bubs here has won some crazy good gunfights here on the laundry entry. Jose looking to fight back onto that position. Both of them just trying to go on a tear as you start to see Zero Risk rotate over to the back side where they might try to finish off their execute.
The Maverick job a little scuffed here, and that's going to really cost them. As you mentioned, time is not something that they have a lot of. It is a valuable commodity that they cannot afford at this point, so they have to just go in, and as the Bullen going to shut that down. Monster getting taken out, and now the nades are going to come singing through, but they're going to peek through and not expect them. Oh my god, Bino, how do you not get the kill there? Oh well, it's going to move on to 15 seconds, so that's one opening kill that they needed in this rush, but it's going to get shut down by Sturdy, and then the rest of the players just repositioning themselves, and it's going to be a shutdown from there. Jose and Sturdy, excuse me, getting kills respectively, but on the back of yet an opening kill, another round is won.
Well, Sturdy was dancing around over there on E-Box. A great job by them to close out the round. Fraud Watch, good opening pick from Bino, and then just slowing down Zero Risk. Zero Risk as well, struggling on the Maverick, and that is what cost them that round. That left no option of dropping the E-Box hatch, which is extremely vital if you want to try to go for that backside take. Nearly able to make some sort of miracle happen with Bino being on 1 HP in the corner of blue, but shut down instead. And now we have our first match point of overtime. Fraud Watch 7-6 against Zero Risk.
Another basement hold. So each side, we had mentioned that this was the favorite side for each team, and you know it's been pretty good. I would say it still probably is the best side overall, but we have seen success upstairs too, and depending on the team, of course. But each side again 3-3. So nothing is set in stone. As you mentioned, this is Fraud Watch's first match point. They could shut it down here. And we have seen them come out on top, attacking this bomb site specifically because of just the way that they are able to get an opening pick and also just collapse onto site with multiple cross angles and team play. If they want to win this round, they want to win this map, bring it over and end it here now. They need to work on that team play, and especially, like you mentioned, those opening kills, man. Like, just drone, take your time. Put yourself in positions to get it, because, as you mentioned, every round, it's been the difference maker.
Well, Bubs here on the Capcan. Something we haven't seen all game. I don't think we've seen Capcan played once, but Bubs has been deadly on the 9x19 playing the Azami lately. So maybe just a little bit of a pocket pool, trying to catch these attackers off guard, getting the walk over a Capcan trap, take a little bit of damage. There's no Adrenal Surges in play from a Finka, potentially, but look at the great intel of the pre-placed drones. Luck flipping through those cameras. Alex droning through with the Mozzie drone, actually. Really good intel to deny Jose, and Jose ends up walking into one of those traps, which is really deadly, and especially being worried about that drone, worried about a swing. There's no intel to walk their way forward, and now it's starting to really be a struggle. Fraud Watch just really slow on their entries, and now they got to be careful of these traps, because if the Yana hits one more, they might just fall into their death pit.
Drone work coming through. Obviously, they are just trying to gather as much information on both sides, really, because the Mozzie also has a drone. So both sides just trying to gain the information in order to get that opening kill, which hasn't happened yet. Usually it happens a little earlier than this, but we're halfway through this round and no one has died yet. So it's a bit of a change in the pace, but I think, like we've mentioned, they're starting to become a little more aware of just how much the man count matters early on in the round, especially a 5v4 from there on out. If you can get the trades, you win the round, right? Back and forth, you still have that one man advantage. So they're going to continue to be a little more conservative, I think, on each side, not going to overextend, do their due diligence, get these hatches opened up. Of course, they don't have a Maverick, and that's going to hurt them because the Cade is in play. So they're going to hope that this Ying can pay off with the amount of distraction and flashes and maybe blinding some people to get some free kills. That's what they're going to rely on right now.
There's 60 seconds left to find out if FraudWatch is going to send themselves to the next round or if we're going to continue this match in this overtime fiasco. And a nade comes through. Bubs returning fire with the C4, but shut down by Jose, which allows for the opening pick to happen. Alzomo drops as well. It's a great two pair of entries from FraudWatch, and Sturdy now running deep into the site with the LMG. Gets two, but shut down by Alex, who now gets the refrag with the swing, possibly taking down the Jackal, but no, ISO and Jose finishing out the last two of players and winning out the round. No infinite overtime. We're just going to close it out nice, plain and simple, like we do as just before. Great job by FraudWatch. They win the game. Bino on the 20 bomber going real hard there, stepping in for their team huge, and the opening pick nets that round once again. FraudWatch, great job to you guys. Congratulations on moving on to the next round of the playoffs.
I bet you're wiping the sweat off your forehead over there, Klimpse. No more rounds. Oh my goodness, we almost got past what is normal. You know, the 15 rounds, we didn't even break that threshold. So you know, it's all good on the Western Frontier. But really good rounds and really good game, and it came down to overcoming some statistics that were against them. We had known that Zero Risk had better opening engagements overall than what we had seen on the other side of FraudWatch. Now the big difference again is Bino. Again, helped a lot with the opening kills as well, so that might have been the determining factor, especially map 3, like you mentioned. Every round opening kill, I think, won. It could be wrong, but at the very least, the vast majority of the rounds, right? So that's pretty incredible to see that play out, and they still overcame that statistical disadvantage and came out on top.
Yeah, I think all but one round netted that opening kill advantage, and that was huge. And we saw that FraudWatch finally started to come into their own skin, beating out Zero Risk, who were really good on the opening picks. But with that, we're going to close it out just for a couple more minutes. We're going to get a break, get a player into our lobby for the interview. I believe we have ISO here hanging out for the interview, and we're going to talk to them. We'll see you guys in just a minute here.
you, baby. Cause I need you, baby. If you text me, say you need me. Even if it ain't real, you're just missing me. I'll be on the way, we'll spin and get it free. I'll be here. Spending time on the white sheets. We ain't tired, but act like we need to sleep. Then I think about your body, feel your fantasies. We don't sleep, we can't sleep. Sweet highs be you. In the bed, in the pool. Moods on too. Tell me what you need, cause I need you, baby. I'll set the cards to red. Temperature 68. A bed made for two. Say what you need, cause I need you, baby. I can make it like a dream for you. Like a fantasy that just came true. Right now, feeling when you say, ooh. La 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 la. I'm a label you from the left side. Keep you close, calling for the whole night. No, you know, because it feels like, ooh. La 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 la.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Xenon Gaming Series. We guys just watched a game go through Fraud Watch versus Zero Risk, a near infinite overtime fiasco, but closed out in 14 rounds. We have ISO here from the winners Fraud Watch here on an interview. How you doing tonight?
I'm not too bad. How are you, man?
Good, good. Well, let's talk a little bit about the first map, Chalet. It was a map that you guys seemed pretty confident on. Both of your teams actually had won last week on it, I believe.
Lost in overtime, 8-6.
We lost in OT.
Oh,
Yeah.
you guys lost in OT. That's right. You guys lost map 3 in OT on Chalet last week. So what made it I guess what was the reason that you guys chose? Did you guys just like the map pick again and having Bino in for all 3 maps this week instead of just for the final map? What were some of the changes that you guys made from last week to this week to try to propel your guys' selves to this next round?
Honestly, we didn't make too many changes. When Bino plays with us, he IGLs us, so it's just a little bit easier. We're a little more coordinated with Bino.
Yeah,
That's really the main difference, and he's also just a talented player, so it makes a big difference.
yeah, I definitely saw you guys have a lot more adjustments and stuff like that. So definitely a lot better gameplay, I think, coming from you guys when you do have Bino there.
Yeah, he was a huge star, and actually, I wanted to pick up on that a little bit. He was a huge asset in Cafe, but you still ended up losing that map. I just wanted to know, it was the opponent's map pick, of course, but you let it through with the map bans. I have to wonder, after the performance last week of 7-2 loss on that map, why did you choose to let it go through? Did you feel like you had made some adjustments, or did you feel like it was a weak map that the other team, if they had chosen it, you felt confident on? I'm just wondering what the thought process was.
Well, this was just based on the format, pretty much. We just would rather have not played theme park than play cafe. Like, we stood a better chance on cafe than theme park.
Oh, okay, that's
That
fair.
makes
That's
any
fair.
sense? Because
Yeah, yeah.
in a lot of best of threes, it's usually like ban 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 pick pick, but this one is a little different. It's ban ban pick pick. So you don't ban 2 off rip. So we got rid of theme park. It's just less comfortable.
That's fair. Okay, I did not know that actually. So I agree that's a different format than even I'm used to. So it's interesting to hear that insight and get to know a little bit of what goes on with the decision making and influencing the map. So then back into the last map, you said Bino. I just want to highlight that one more time. He's a huge IGL freak, but he's also been good at fragging. And one thing that we had highlighted in the stats of the regular season is you guys had not had the greatest success on opening kills. I think you only had 2 people who were positive, and most people were either negative or even. Do you think that that's also something he brings to the table? Because he did seem to have a decent amount of opening engagements that he won.
Yeah, he's good at finding the openers, and he's good at putting me where I can find the openers as well. Because I'm also a pretty aggressive player, so it's good. Like we can play off of each other pretty well. Get early kills. It's definitely it's a lot easier with Bino, I would say.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, ISO, anything else you want to say? Any final comments? Anyone you want to shout out? Maybe your Twitter, any social media, stuff like that.
No, I don't really have anything to say. I mean, I don't know why that game goes to OT. We just keep choking games. I don't know what's good with us, but we lose to bad players like constantly. And I also like I don't know. No, I don't know.
Savage.
Well,
We keep it
well,
tame. We'll keep it tame
well,
this week.
well, you guys weren't even supposed to be in playoffs, so the fact that you guys are already getting through to the second round, at least of the lower bracket, and keeping your hopes alive is good to hear.
No,
I mean, you
we
guys,
should have won last week. I don't know how we lose. Like
yeah,
we almost beat the first seed as a team that technically wasn't supposed to be in playoffs. That shows you how like stacked our side of like the division was. Like the other division is terrible. Everyone in that division sucks.
wow. All right. Well, ISO, definitely some strong opinions, but if that's how it is, that's how it is. Show them off in the playoffs. You guys got next week to continue on. We'll see you guys back Sunday. I'll be casting with Sticula at 3:30 or
6:30.
6:30 rather. Sorry, it's 3:30 my time. I'm on the West Coast, so
Gotcha.
that's my own mental note. And Wes, you guys will see him later that night, the game afterwards. So with that out that or with further ado, without whatever you want to say, thanks to Tiggy for observing today, and obviously that battery, Mr. Andrew, head of the league on the sticks for producing. Great job from you guys, and thanks to you, Wes, for joining me in the booth. With that, I'm Klimpse. Wes, we're gonna call it for the night, and we'll see you guys on Sunday.
Yeah. Have a good night.